Hey everybody, this is Josh McKinney, and I just want to welcome you to episode 189 of the ISAJJ Jiu-Jitsu show. I'm going to keep my intro super short because obviously this podcast is incredibly long, and I don't want you to get the wrong idea and say, wow, 3 hours of content with Josh, Junior, and Kyle. This is such focused jiu-jitsu knowledge and learning. It's going to be like drinking from a fire hose. They're going to be dropping so much knowledge. It's not like that. It might be a little more comedy than it is jiu-jitsu learning. I can't promise. I couldn't tell you what the actual percentage of each that you get. But I can tell you it's funny. You will learn something. You will laugh. You will cry. If you are a member of Watson Martial Arts, you will be offended. If you're a member of Head Nod or Revive, most likely you will also be offended. If you didn't know who Junior and Kyle were as people before this episode, you will also be offended. But I don't think I said anything incriminating. So if you're a big Josh McKinney fan, it might, I don't know, you might stay one, who knows? But I think now that I got the apologies out of the way, make sure that you guys, if you like this one, if you like the 3-hour content that we did on this one, make sure to let us know. Send me an email, josh@simplifyingjujitsu.com, or you could always just tag us on Instagram. You can tag me at the Josh McKinney, tag ISAJJ Jiu-Jitsu Show. I'll make sure to link Kyle and Junior's Instagrams in the post, in the description. And I think that is pretty much all of the house cleaning that I have to do before we get into this episode. I guess I will just make sure to say that I don't apologize for Kyle and Junior's behavior. I debated whether or not to share this because it's so different from my ISAJJ Jiu-Jitsu Show episodes. Not that it is, I'm joking that it is this horrible, offensive episode. It really is not. It really is a great Jiu-Jitsu episode, but there's way less focus in the episode. There's way more rambling, way more stories that, you know, are offensive. But it's just a different setting. It's a different environment. And to me, it is exactly why we put together Simplifying Jiu-Jitsu Studios 2.0, was so we could do interviews like that are more intimate and are more like me getting to have conversations with my friends for a couple hours while Kyle takes a million pee breaks. But without further ado, let's go ahead and we will get into this episode. Let's start out with saying, hey, Junior, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
Good. Kyle Watson, how are you doing today?
Fantastic.
You guys are often talked about on the show, but I have never really had the capability to bring two people on at once and do it in person. And I thought you guys would be a really fun group to start with.
Well, you know why it's perfect is that I'm Kyle Watson, and you know, people commonly refer to him as the Brazilian Kyle Watson.
Yes.
It's like tag team back
I don't know
again.
if you knew that.
I honestly, for a second, I really thought Junior was telling me that because these stage lights are a little bright in my eyes. And then I realized it was you because you guys are so similar.
yeah, we live
you know, the accent is so similar, everything.
And I'm pretty bright, too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Don't forget to talk into your microphone, Junior. Get it together, man. Just feel like it's his first podcast, man.
I think you've been here before.
Many times.
So I thought a fun place to start with this episode, with just getting to talk to you guys, would just be about competition. And we've been keeping it pretty light before we started recording this podcast. We've been laughing and joking about a lot of stuff, so I'm sure that that's where this is going to go. But I just thought a good place to kind of steer the ship that is Junior and Kyle rambling and solving the world's problems. I thought a good place would be, we've been competing more and having more of our students do like what would be considered major competitions or like IBJJF competitions, ADCC trials, things like that. And they've been having more success lately than ever before, I think. And I think we've been doing some things collaboratively as, you know, as scientists would say. We've been doing things together, and it's really been helpful. And so I just thought it would be fun to kind of start the podcast with some of the things that we've been doing, some of the experiences that we had, and then we'll just see where it goes from there. And then we'll probably just at some point give Kyle the keys to the ship to steer and just see what he wants to talk about on the podcast, because I'm sure he has some talking points to hit. You know,
we're gonna get lost.
Yes, I'm sure.
The only hard part is I feel like we need a studio audience. You know what I mean? Like I want to hear the laughter. Remember how we were struggling when we were shooting at BJJ Fanatics? Because I was like, all right, man. Usually my students don't ever laugh at me anyway, but I'll get a couple that feel like they have to laugh or they won't get promoted. And I felt like when we were there and we were shooting, I would tell the jokes and then it's like dead silence and it just kind of like ruins it for you. It's like, was the joke funny or was it not funny?
Yeah, that can be tough. That can be one of those things that like you just have to assume that you're funny, and then hope it carries over. But to the same point, I assumed that I was funny on my Fanatics instructional.
You were though.
They cut out quite a bit of the humor.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah.
Well, what if you had like a pre-recorded like applause type of thing, like like a studio audience that's
If you say something funny in here, Bryce does laugh.
Oh.
But you'd have to see he wasn't laughing there. That wasn't funny, right? We're not there yet. But yeah, so in the future, if you say something and if me and Junior don't laugh, Bryce is probably giggling.
Laughing. Okay,
you know,
right. Fair enough.
He's a little weird guy in the corner, man. You know, you got to watch him. See, he smiled at that. He was like, that's true. I'm kind of a weirdo over here. But anyway. Back to, well, shoot, you wanted to bring up your Fanatics instructional. You wanted to plug it early.
I really did not.
You wanted
not.
First, I said,
man.
let's talk about competition. He said, yeah, I remember competing with other Fanatics instructionals with...
That is not, absolutely not. That's just what came to mind. I am a top of mind person. Whatever comes...
Let's hear it, Kyle. What do you got for the Fanatics? What could they know about guard passing that you do on me and Junior? You do it on Nick. You do it on all of us. Tell us what they could learn about
mastering the knee weave. Now here's the deal. People are like, what the hell is the knee weave?
You can say that, Kyle.
All right. You know what I wanted to say. All right. So no, but people call it the dope mount, and I'm like, who made this up? Like, why do you call it the dope mount? I mean, it is kind of cool. It is dope. But it's like, who made this up? It doesn't even make sense. I feel like the knee weave makes way more sense because you're like doing the same thing as a regular leg weave pass, but you're putting your knee inside there. Makes sense, right?
I should call leg weave.
Yeah. Knee weave is better.
Mastering should call
it leg
knee weave.
Knee weave?
Yeah,
okay.
Because that's what you do, man.
Yeah, Bryce was laughing because I call it dope mount.
Yeah.
I
did.
You used to call it dope mount.
I did too, but it's not. It's
I
not
used
very,
to.
It's
Now
not
it's the
very
knee
catchy. And people are like, what is the dope mount? It doesn't make sense.
And if somebody Googles knee weave, what's coming up?
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Kyle Watson,
because
dude.
nobody says that stuff. So it's only like one thing, you know?
You know what? Honestly, this is just a hive mind of great marketing. Yes. You know, that's all this is going to be. I think that, hit us with, you were just also talking up your repost episode, Kyle. You were just telling us how great of a job you did 3 years ago, even when Josh was a bad podcaster.
Throw me under the bus. So no, I was just saying, like, I liked it that you had this. Whoever had the idea, maybe it was Bryce, I don't know, but had the idea of like saying, okay, like on off weeks when you're not going to post something new content, bring up some of the old content because some people may have not listened to it at that point, or they. A lot of times you notice when you listen to something the second time, even like with instructionals, like you might watch it one time and then you watch it the second time, you glean something way better out of it. You're like, how did I miss it the first time? So you listen to Kyle Watson the second time.
You listen to it twice.
Yeah, maybe a third time, honestly. And
did you re-listen?
Yes, most of it.
Yeah. You don't have to say most of it, Kyle. Yeah. I listen to every episode of the ISAJJ Jiu-Jitsu show.
Well, of course, you should.
I'm not embarrassed about it. It's like, it's a quarterback. He's reviewing his game footage. Could I have been funnier? Could I have inserted more dad jokes?
Yes.
Yeah. But
I was happy with it. When I listened to it again, I was like, I don't remember saying that, but I like it.
Yeah. Since the conversation is going that way, let's talk about Meg and roast and pigs.
Oh, man.
Because we have a few good pig stories since the original. That original episode, no one really even got upset about it. I thought what we were talking about was uncomfortable for people to hear. People probably turned it off or skipped ahead, which I would advise you do right now in this episode. But yeah, let's talk about, we've got some good pig stories, man. Do you ever remember, and I don't know if this is a precursor to Meg dying. Meg is still completely alive. And for people who have not heard the repost, Meg is your pig.
Yes.
Do you have any recollection of ever having the idea of wearing a pig's head on your head?
I do. One, because that sounds like something I would say or do. But also, two, because there's a lot of photographic evidence of said pig mask wearing. So yeah, it was. So yes, we were at a tack team.
Junior, I feel like he's lying. Junior, what do you think?
You just tell a story because
It was a gala event, right? We were dressed up.
Yeah, dress up. He didn't tell us to dress up.
No, he was dressed up. He brought his best outfit.
He was dressed like Batman, and we looked like peasants. We're wearing jiu-jitsu t-shirts and jeans, and this guy is wearing a 5-piece suit.
Yes. He got wasted.
That's not true.
I mean, well,
I don't even drink.
Yeah,
no, he doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. And at some point, somebody told him, who was that?
I just told him we should go eat the cheeks of the pig. That's it. It's the best part of the pig.
What?
The cheeks.
Cheeks.
The cheeks.
Yeah, the cheeks of the pig.
Yeah.
Talk into the microphone.
And
stop looking away from the pig. I know Kyle's beautiful, but hit him at that angle when you know.
And I didn't even know he named his pig. Who names a pig? Mag. I didn't know the name of the pig was Mag.
Yeah, yeah.
That's incredible. And Kyle ripped the head off the pig. Not his pig, the pig that we had at the barbecue.
But wait. Okay, so there's a roasted pig. Let's make sure that's specified.
Table.
There's not just a pig. At this party, there is a roasted pig. This is a very humane thing. There's nothing weird going on. Just the way Junior's Brazilian ranting is hitting, like, sounds like we're murdering a pig right now. The way you're telling this story, man.
But wait, I gotta like.
He's gonna start lying, Junior.
No. But here's the thing: is I'm a bad similar. I can never judge people's weight. I don't know like how old people are, whatever. I look over and I see the pig, the roasted pig, and I think, and I'm probably drunk enough that I think, okay, it's a good idea to I'm gonna wear the pig's head as a mask because I like to entertain people. I want to make them laugh. But I'm looking over, and in my mind, I'm thinking if I grab this thing, it will actually fit over my head. I'm thinking this thing's really big. So I think part of why we got so much photographic evidence is I went over there and got there, and then when I got it up here, I was like, it's kind of small. Like this is not actually gonna go over my head, so I'm just like trying to pull it and stretch it over my forehead. The juices are like running down. People are taking pictures. I'm like, okay, and there's a point where I'm like, okay, this pig's head is not actually gonna fit over my head. I should probably just put it down.
Yes, and he put the head down, and he walked right out of the place, and we lost him. Right?
We did lose him.
We couldn't find him anywhere.
He just left.
He jumped in somebody's car and left, and you couldn't find Kyle.
Wouldn't answer his phone.
Wouldn't answer his phone.
You were leaning out my passenger window in the streets of Chicago yelling, Kyle Watson! Have you seen Kyle Watson?
I feel like we shouldn't be telling this story just because.
Yeah, I agree.
No, just because
this was a bad thing to bring up.
I have a reputation to uphold. And people listen to this might think I'm a little different than I might seem.
Wait, different than you are, or different than you seem?
Well, the representation of myself in my business per se.
So, guys, you file your taxes this year?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's good. That's a fun thing to do while you listen to Eric Clapton, right? Those are fun, right? Yeah. Okay, let's talk what I said initially.
All right.
Hey, let's start this episode. Hey, everybody, this is Josh McKinney. Let's talk jiu-jitsu competition. Let's talk just in, let's say, the last... Junior, how long has Revive been open?
3 years.
In 3 years, the whole time been under TAC team, correct?
Always, yeah.
So under TAC team the whole time. So the last 3 years since we've had all three of our schools in the St. Louis area, plus all of the schools that are under freaking rich man Kyle Watson, you know, the hundreds of Watson affiliates that there are. Shout out to all of them. There's just been a noticeable change, at least to me, in how people have been approaching competition and just how much success we all have had in competition. And so I just kind of wanted to talk about that. Is there any changes? Have you guys noticed that at all?
Yeah, for sure. I think part of it is like feeding off each other. Like, so for example, my gym, I really try to not push competition a lot, and not to say that you guys do, but I'm just saying like I try to cast a wide net. I try to get everybody in there, and I always say, hey, how do you know you don't like competing if you haven't done it? You know, so I'll usually say that, but it's nothing like, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. But the cool thing is because our teams are so involved and we do train together, a lot of times I think that like sparks motivation. And a lot of like, say my guys see that your guys are competing or they're training together. And then I give them little gentle nudges here and there. I think that really helps because I think it like kind of, you get excited when you know like, oh, everybody's getting ready for this. Well, that might be something I can, you know, get involved in too. So I just think it's like, it's a good thing where like our schools can kind of feed off each other.
Junior, do you notice this, or do you
Yes.
are you just everywhere Junior Silva's at is just always winning?
You always win. That's
All
what
right,
we do.
all
But
right.
like what Kyle said is true. Like you guys make posts on my team page, come to my gym, training my guys, make comments to them. Hey, you gotta go and compete, and you gotta get. And people come up to me all the time, and they're like, I want to compete. Sometimes the guy just started training. It's like, man, you're not ready. You know, it's still on your trial. But people want to compete. They feel good about it. And when they lose, they get support. That happened many times. My guys lost in tournaments. You guys are there giving big support. And that's where, like, it's a big difference. You know?
I noticed that too. It's just been it's been really fun. It's also fun to get to know each other's teams better. You know, I always notice that one of my guys will come in to practice at one of your guys' gym, and I'll be surprised with how he knows everybody already. And that just comes because we have that cross-training, we have that relationship. That being said, Junior, do you ever notice that all the Watson martial arts guys are freaking weird?
They are.
What?
They are.
Right?
Our guys are normal.
Our guys are the most normal.
Listen, I was about to say something nice. I was about to be like, hey, you know what I really like is like, I can't make it to all the tournaments. And I love how you guys step up and will coach my students and help them out. And they're always really appreciative. I was about to say this really nice thing.
Yeah,
and
it's
Josh
making
out
us-
of nowhere is
it's-
like, all the Cal students are weird.
It's making us upset because all of your students are weird.
Well, so here's the thing is though, I feel like a lot of my students listen to your podcast. Probably never again after this one.
No. They're great people. I'm not saying, and look, Junior does actually, Junior really thinks that the people at Revive are normal.
Yeah.
But
they're pretty
in
normal.
all honesty, head nod is a completely different flavor of weird.
But that's what I was going to say. I was just saying, listen, we are sitting in the middle of Granite City. No offense, Granite City. But if you're going to sit here in Granite City and call everybody not in Granite City weird.
I'm not calling everybody else weird. I'm saying they're weird too. Okay? So
A different kind of weird.
yeah, and so, but I mean, Junior, be honest. If you had to choose, just from your perspective, if you looked at the three schools, who's got the weirdest students? It's obviously Watson, right?
No.
Who's got the weirdest students?
Look, head nod.
Bam!
Why do you say?
Because they first they do really well with my guys. When they get together, it's like, man.
So Watson students don't?
I think
Your guys just kill Watson
I
students?
think Watson's guys are normal and our guys are crazy, Josh. It is.
Have you ever thought about that?
You ever thought about that?
Yeah.
You see, like Dylan.
It's kind of like we talked about earlier. It's like people who hop gyms. It's like people hop gyms and they're like, I don't like this gym. I don't like this gym. I don't like this gym. Eventually, you have to realize.
So you're telling
the
me
weirdo.
that that's what normal people are like?
Yes, they're pretty normal. They speak proper. They are different. You look after training. I see Nick Sanders, Dylan, Dan, and some of your guys.
He said Dan.
Talking, and they're like, bro, they're crazy.
They are
Right?
crazy, aren't they?
And if you have a Watson guy there, they
Hey,
walk
listen,
away.
hey,
They're
listen,
like,
listen.
I don't want to be
They
part of this,
do.
guys.
And I thought that was weird.
No,
Listen,
man.
whoa.
Look at Mario. Mario's an awesome guy. He doesn't, you know.
I'm gonna
I
bring-
like
I'm-
Mario.
I'm,
Yeah,
gonna,
he
I'm gonna
does-
reel you guys back in. I'm gonna reel you guys back.
Okay.
In. Reel you back in. People definitely tune in for pig stories, jokes. They want to hear some meat and potatoes about how to suck less at jiu-jitsu. So I'm bringing you guys back.
Okay,
That's-
okay,
yeah, and the
okay.
only reason why I'm bringing you back is because you're making fun of my all my students.
All right, Junior, so let's do this.
Okay,
I
go
gotta
ahead.
reel you guys in.
Okay.
Right.
So here, let's just do this.
Right.
Let's just switch to what do you think that Kyle does wrong with his students? from a training
Look,
perspective.
let's put it.
Stop.
When I moved here from Florida, I became Kyle's student. I used to go there 3 times a week, 4 times a week.
No man, I remember.
I was
I
doing-
remember those times. It was awesome. I remember when you guys used to train.
No, I used to
more
go,
often.
and I became a Watson guy. I used to come to Head Knot on Sundays, but most of the time, a Watson's gym. Okay, and I became one of them.
I'm a Watson guy. Man,
Yeah.
you guys are blowing my mind. My perspective has totally changed. Watson martial arts guys are normal.
Yes.
It's Head Knot and Revive that are the weirdos.
Yes.
That's why, oh my gosh, man, this is all making so much sense now. I really thought this podcast was going to be about something else. I didn't know it was going to be about this. Let's talk competition, guys.
Yes,
So
yes,
we all agree that there are points that we've been able to get further together than we probably would have individually. What are some things that you guys have noticed? Kyle, you did start to bring it up before we just started roasting you. Just about coaching each other's students in competition. Let's see, are there any other specific things that you guys have noticed that we've been doing besides just coaching each other's students, things like that?
Well, I also think like a lot of times I reference you guys a lot when I'm coaching. I say, Josh is really good at this. His school does this. Junior's really good at this. He does this. So a lot of the people already know, like just from mentioning, even if they haven't interacted with you directly, they kind of already know just because like you just know who the head guys are on the team, right? And or I say like, hey, I can't make it to this competition, but Junior will be there. I even got to the point now where people will ask like, hey, will anybody be at this competition? And I'll say, I can't make it, but Josh will be there, or Junior will be there, or I will be there, whatever. And they know they can lean on any of the other tag team coaches or people and what have you. And I think that's a really important thing that they feel comfortable. The students feel comfortable if like, I'm not going to be there. They know they have somebody who's very, very competent and has been around for a while that they can lean on. For example, you coached a few of my students at Pans and it's happened many times, but.
Yeah, that's trust, right? We trust each other, and I trust you guys, and my students feel that. I was part of another affiliation. A lot of times, like they have like one coach, you don't like the other coach, and they bump heads, and I think you like really connect well, and you have faith on each other. And if you're there, I'm fine. Like, oh, Josh is there, Watson is there. I also do what Kyle said. I always mention you guys, me and Nick does, like, oh, Kyle does this and work really well. I'm going to show you guys. Josh does this, like his body lock. I showed in my gym. Like, that's how Kyle does and works well. Or your ankle lock, where you showed me, works really well. And I think we add to each other's, not only technique, but also we think alike. And we know we can count on each other. And I think we pass that on to our students. And that's why I think it's working out so well, and I think it will be something that will last a long time. Something is just going to break in a couple months apart,
I agree. Another nice thing is, too, is if you think about it, like the people who compete usually put extra time in. So the people that put extra time in, they're the ones coming to the open mats, and we all go to the open mats. So the nice thing is, like, the people that show up, you get to interact with them. Like for example, yesterday, we were all at Revive, and a bunch of people who compete for my team showed up. So it's like that's a way for the other coaches to get to know and acknowledge the competitors and kind of understand their game a little bit better, and that'll lend itself to coaching better when you're in front of them. So it's nice.
What do you guys? Man, there's a few good places to take that. So, first off, what are some other fun things, strategies, techniques? ways of looking at jiu-jitsu that you have stolen from just one of the other St. Louis TAC team gyms or coaches or something like that?
He is totally trying to get us to plug designated winner.
Not at all.
Yeah, he is.
But it's interesting that that's just what's on the top of your mind. That's not where I was going at all.
I do reference it a lot of times. I don't even know what I would even call it, but a lot of times I think even today I said, but I'll say it like as Josh would call designated winner.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be derogatory, man. You could
No, it's not derogatory.
You could just say designated winner. You
But
know?
Explain to us.
No, because
What
I'm
it
big
is.
on giving credit where it's due. I don't want to be like, hey, do this thing called designated winner that I made up.
No,
You know what I
let
mean?
your
It's
people
like-
think they made it up, because when they Google it, it's going to be me that comes
Nice,
up.
nice. But yeah, so no, but I think that is definitely something that I've incorporated. I think it's kind of like I listened to your podcast with Chris Paynes, and Chris is awesome. And he was saying something similar, that he was doing something. It's like a lot of times people are solving similar problems, but they don't organize it. Mm-hmm. They don't organize it well. Like, or maybe they do, but they don't really make it like a system or systematized, I guess I should say. And I think like you putting a name to it and then making it more like where it's almost like branding. So all your students know right off the bat, if I say, hey, we're doing this, you don't have to explain it every time. It's like they already know, hey, we're doing designated winner. People know this is how I should feed it. This is how I should respond to it. And so I think it's important to kind of have an understanding like that. But that is something that we've incorporated for sure. And I think it's really strong. What was the original question, though?
Who knows, man?
Right.
I think that was a terrific answer to it.
Yeah.
I think just when you look at that, just something we've already been referencing, and then we were even correcting kind of as a joke in the beginning of the episode, was the knee weave pass, right? And if we all use the same language, because we all coach each other's guys, you know, it's important that we all call it the knee weave. Even though we were kind of joking about it, I will start calling it the knee weave. It makes sense to me to do that, and that's kind of like, that's something as fun as it is. That's kind of how we all just communicate and get better, is in the middle of our laughs and jokes, like, oh yeah, no, we really do need to fix that. We need to, oh yeah, it's a good idea. Let's do that. We'll get on that, or we'll make our blue belts get on that.
Well, I mean, if you look at back, like I think it was Mark Lehman was talking about, and most new people don't know who Mark Lehman is, but old jiu-jitsu people do, that he would come up with like these names similar to like weird names for moves, similar to the way like 10th Planet has a lot of like unique names for things. And then he would do it more as like not a trick, but just so that the person couldn't counter coach. You know what I mean? You could yell out something. They're like, oh, do the upside down cow nipple. Whatever. That just came to my mind. Sorry. I don't think there's a move. But now that I've said that, we should come out with a move called the upside down cow nipple. But anyways, sorry. So that they don't know what they're talking about, so they can't like kind of counter coach, or the person can't actually hear it and counter it. But I think you're right. You're spot on there. Where and it's not like we're trying to like rename things or rebrand things, but if you put your own spin on things, like you take something that's already been developed, you put your own spin on it, and you want your students to know what you're talking about, I think that's really important. But make sure we make up a move for the upside down cow nipple.
Sounds good. I made a note actually already.
Right.
So we'll be good on that.
Yeah.
So do we have any other fun common language that we use that's not, well, I guess we can't talk about it, it'd be secret.
Yeah.
So I guess let's
Well, no, but we could talk about it, but then we'll just come up with something different and let them think that that's what we're talking about.
That seems like a whole meta
Super
conversation
deep.
that
Super
we are
deep.
not ready for.
Yeah, true.
We're having trouble staying on the same page on this.
I know.
So just in these competitions, we've been trying to win as a team, trying to just motivate our guys to kind of compete. And really, we can act like there's different motivations for it. And we can say, oh, well, maybe it's good for your business or something to win competitions, or maybe, I don't know, you kind of will say that it's for any other reason than this. It's really, really, really fun to go to a jiu-jitsu competition with the guys that you work with all the time and coach them and see them be successful and see them like kind of, I don't know, just kind of accomplish a goal for them. Do you guys kind of notice that, feel that way?
I do, yeah. I think I don't think it's a big deal for the business. Like nobody, I never had somebody walk to my gym and like I heard one of your blue belts won pens. I want to sign up. You know, like no, but like I think it's more for us. We're there training every day, and get to a point people want to try against other schools, and it's also a big challenge. You know, like I coach guys that are being firefights, being wars, and they're super nervous before a jiu-jitsu match. It's just a jiu-jitsu match, like. Kyle, he fought on UFC, he fought all over the world, and like being with him in a tournament, he's nervous before, before IBJJF match, and like I remember the first time I asked him, "Are you nervous?" Like, yeah, I'm kind of nervous. It's like, man, this guy fought all over the world, and he's nervous. It's because it means a lot to us, you know. We do it because we love it. We do it because we have pride on it, you know. You want to go there and test yourself, expose yourself, and he's doing that for everybody else, for our members, for our students, for the people that we care, you know, that cares about the sport. And people did it before us. They went there, they competed, they paved their way, you know. And that's why jiu-jitsu, it is what it is nowadays, because people before us, and like people like us, like Kyle, like you, compete a lot more than me, is always competing, are doing what needs to be done. And people see that, and they're like, man, I want to compete too. I want to be part of that. And becomes like a lifestyle, becomes like, you know, I have a guy that mentioned to me not long ago, he's like a lot of depression, going through a lot, and when he's training, forgets about everything. And if he's starting to get ready to compete, he feels great. He only worries about the tournament, you know what I mean? He's only worried about winning and doing well, and he's in a better mood, and I think yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's. I look forward to it. Like I don't look forward to going to coach in the sense that I'm always like super sweaty. I lose my voice. I usually get a really intense headache.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's why I always keep that full supply of stuff in my in the fanny pack.
And your head nod fanny pack.
My head nod.
Eventually,
that cost way too much and took way too long to get to me.
But eventually, because they were completely discontinued, I only think that we sold like 6 of them. Nice. Eventually, that's going to be worth a lot of money, dude. That's going to be a collector's
item. And with
item.
the amount of sweat I've put into it, think how much it's worth.
When I die because of some mistake that Bryce makes, I will that will be worth a ton of money. Yeah. And then like 20 years later, when designated winner becomes a thing, and then like I'm gone, they're like, who invented this? Google it, and like Josh McKinney. What happened to Josh McKinney? And it's like, oh, he died because Bryce in a scheduling issue. And so Bryce forgot to give him water and locked him in a room for 6 days or something like that. But I don't even know where I was going with that.
That's okay. We're just saying, like, do we enjoy, like, you know, going to the tournaments and like helping our students succeed? I was just saying, like, I don't like some of the stuff, the byproducts, but I do really enjoy the camaraderie. You know that you're going to go there, you're going to see a bunch of people you know, you're chatted up with a bunch of people you haven't seen in a long time. You're going to get to run around and coach your students and like really see if like what you taught them, if they were able to kind of put it into practice. And one of the things I say all the time to the people who are going to compete that I think is like really helpful is like, obviously everybody's nervous and everybody puts pressure on themselves to win, and they don't want to let anybody down. But I think a lot of times the nice thing about competing is, if you can get away from worrying so much about being on the medal podium and worried about letting people down, is that if you think about it, when you prep for a tournament, you're always trying to like train in a way that closes the gaps and kind of accentuates your strengths, right? And I feel like just the training leading up to the tournament, people always get better. People always get better.
Yeah.
I just feel like, you know what I mean? And it's not always that it's not that all of your training should be like focused on your strengths don't pay as much time to your weaknesses. But like when you do the tournament, usually you're doing both those things. You're really trying to impose your will, closing the gaps. And I always feel like, say someone takes like 6 to 8 weeks to prep for a tournament, regardless of the outcome, whether they get the gold, bronze, don't even get on the podium, whatever, I always feel like by the time the tournament is over, they at least got better during the prep. And I try to tell people that. I was like, think about, just having something to focus on. All of your training sessions will be more deliberate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's that's kind of that's interesting to kind of think about it from the perspective of like, you don't feel that way though. You don't feel that you're getting better. At least I don't. When I'm prepping for a tournament and training hard, you're getting more and more tired, and you are, your training partners are getting more and more used to your game, and so it's harder to get it to work. You're not usually feeling like you're getting better, but I do always notice after the tournament when I kind of open the game back up and start doing other things, like, whoa, I got significantly better from competing. But yeah, it is interesting that it doesn't always feel that way. Do you guys ever notice that?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, because if you feel like you're so laser focused that you're not adding anything new, you're always just like kind of doing the same old thing over and over. But I agree with you that you definitely notice it after the fact.
Mm-hmm. So I thought a fun place to go with this at some point would be, and we could kind of just all give our perspective and tell a story like we normally would, would be, was it Indianapolis that Kyle competed Giyanogi? Was that the tournament that we, okay. So that we can talk about the IBJJF Indianapolis and just kind of what that experience was like. It was really fun because, not because I was injured, but because I was injured. And I was going to only be there as a coach, and then you were going as a competitor. And so it just gave kind of a different feel than I think we've ever had at a tournament where it's not both of us competing or something like that. It is just me as the coach and you as the competitor. And then Junior was there as a coach too. And it was really, really a fun experience for all of us. But the experience started. We're expecting freaking Kyle Watson to come out and set the tone for tag team. I just gave all my students a lecture on willingness to die because we have 60 competitors and there are teams with like 110 and we're trying to win the team trophy. And I'm like explaining to them that like, yeah, you're doing your open class. I don't care that you cut 20 pounds. You're doing your open class or you have to deal with Junior. And Junior's kicking people off the team as we speak for bad performances. We're playing serious here. And we're like, Kyle's going to show him. And then Junior, go ahead and take over the story.
Yeah, so that was the one that Kyle didn't do so well, right? On the first day.
He didn't.
That was the...
Wait, yeah, maybe I should tell the story, honestly.
Go ahead, Kyle. Tell it from your perspective.
I like that one.
He hit some takedowns.
So wait.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I'm gonna jump in. So simplifying takedowns for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, you
BJJ.
were 100% on the weekend in 4 matches.
STDs for BJJ.
STDs
for BJJ. Simplifying takedowns.
Have some
for BJJ. So I was 4 for 4. All right. So here's the thing. No, this is a shout out to Josh because honestly, I went there and I was super motivated. I had a couple tough guys in my division. I was like, man, this is gonna be a good one. I'll get to test myself. It'd be awesome. And I really do love competing and not to act like all like above anyone. I do really think it's important to lead by example, and I feel like not everybody competes. I'm not saying that every coach has to compete, but I just feel strongly about that because I want my students to be motivated. Like, hey, look, Kyle does it. He pressure tests things. Well, anyways, I go compete, and I lose my fair share of matches. I lose plenty, no problem, but I rarely get submitted. And I come right out, first match against a guy I should beat. I take down, I get submitted. I was mad. I was defeated. I'm like, oh, great. Now I have to fight a guy who's
especially get submitted up 2-0.
Yeah.
Was it get hurt?
No, it was fine. And my elbow got popped a little bit. It was fine. But here's the problem.
Yeah, it's no big deal though.
But then my mind though immediately I'm like, wait. So the guy I got to go against next is way better than that guy. And I just got submitted by this guy, and I have to go with a guy who's way better than that guy. So I try to get myself together. I go out there. Boom. Guess what? Submitted. I take him down. Up 2-0 again. Get submitted. Like, oh man. And here's the thing is I wasn't just frustrated with losing. I was actually really embarrassed because like a bunch of my students were there, and a bunch of people I highly respect within TAC team were there, and just like all these people. I'm like, man. And usually it's like, even when I don't win though, I still feel like I go out there and I fight hard and I do pretty well. But I go out literally just back-to-back submission loss. I'm like, all right. I literally like, all right, I'm giving up jiu-jitsu. I'm throwing my belt in the ring.
Kyle,
Yeah, but he didn't.
I've felt that so many times,
man.
dude.
Yeah, you guys, look, he could go home and cry. You could drive back that day and just let it be. You know, it was a good day for tech team. We had a bunch of our guys in the finals or open class, and we had
a bunch of our guys win.
We were winning everything. And those are like Kyle. I was worried about Kyle. Like everybody's doing great, and Kyle didn't do so well. And then we were sharing a room, right, on the tournament. We were talking. I was like, I'm trying to pump him up, and what do you say, you know? And Kyle just like, no, I'm coming back tomorrow, and I'm going to do great. I'm going to do better. And that's like I learned a lot of the tournament from Kyle, you know. And it's like he came back the next day, and he killed. He crushed it. He wanted to beat the guys, beat everybody, and took everybody down, beat everybody down, and the guy in the final was a really good competitor. He was a good jiu-jitsu guy, and he threw the sink, like they say, right, Kyle?
He did, man.
And Kyle got out of every submission attempt and beat the guy.
And every submission attempt ended in a double leg. Every single, there were like 6 attempts, and every one of them somehow turned into a wrestle up, double leg. And it was like over and over and over. Simplifying takedowns for BJJ, only available at simplifyingjujitsu.com/takedown.
Well, no, but I appreciate it. But I have to give credit what's due is like literally, this is one of the nice things where the roles were reversed, coach to student. Is like Josh literally said. It was funny because I was seriously beating myself up. I was upset. I was like, "Fuck, man! I got that was embarrassing. I was embarrassed." And Josh says, "Like, man, you look like you were just like so concerned about winning that you weren't really playing jiu-jitsu. That you were just worried about like not losing." And I was like, "Man, I went back and I thought about it a lot that night, and I was like, man, it was." And I thought to myself after Josh said that, that's what really was the key because I started thinking about it. I was like, well, tomorrow I was like, what's the worst that could happen? I've got submitted 2 times. People already think I suck. People already think I'm terrible. I get submitted 2 times. Again, they think I still suck. So no big deal. So I literally, I felt like I went in. I went in Sunday thinking like literally I have nothing to lose, and it was kind of like how I feel like a lot of times where I've done really well in the open class. It was that same feeling where it's like well, I'm kind of expected to lose. Who cares? And literally felt like I had no pressure. Went out, just performed, and just did jiu-jitsu. Like you told me, just do jiu-jitsu. Don't worry about it. Just do jiu-jitsu. Don't think about like having to like not lose. So that's what I did the next day, and I was able to take down my opponents, both of them. I only had 2 matches, but I took both of them down. The second guy I felt was like really, really tough, and like you said, he did throw the kitchen sink at me. I got out of everything, still won by the skin of my teeth, but I still was like, man, I was like, I didn't feel tired, and I also didn't feel like, I was like, man, I felt completely different than the day before. I mean, obviously not just because of winning and losing. I just felt like I was more just like in the match. I felt like, man, I was playing jiu-jitsu. And so anyway, I credit to Josh just saying that and having the support of like, you know, hanging out with Junior, like trying to pick me back up after feeling like shit. But I love that story, not because it involved me, but because then I can say to my students like, hey, look what happened. Like I was down in the dirt. I was able to pick myself up and come back up. And then the nice thing is the last couple of times I competed, I kept running through that in my head.
Yeah.
I kept running through it in my head and just kept saying to myself, like, think what happened on Sunday. I was like, don't worry so much. Don't worry so much about losing. Who cares? And just play jiu-jitsu. And so it's nice. That's how, like, I think when you look at a lot of the sports psychology, like books and things that are out there, and they talk about that kind of stuff is like about building momentum. And that really helped me a ton because I was able to kind of parlay that into subsequent tournaments. So anyways,
yeah, man, that like just from my perspective, I remember, you know, as soon as your second match was done, you know, you always got to calm Junior down because Junior's passion is just unrivaled.
He's the motivator.
He's
the motivator,
and he's like, we need to tell Watson. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I don't think we need to tell Watson right now. Like, he's got to compete tomorrow. We'll beat him down on Monday if he loses 2 more. Okay, but let's keep him in it today. And I think we just both kind of gave what we thought you needed, and you were able to just take what you needed. You know,
yeah, it's a big lesson. Like, if anybody, the people that listen to this, if you're a student, it's like how coachable Kyle is. You know. I have many times I'm coaching a blue belt to get him ready for a tournament, and all my guys are great. They listen and we talk about like game plans and stuff. And I run to some students that they know it all, or if you start coaching a guy, you give him advice, even if it's a bad advice, stay quiet and listen and think about something well. You should do it. And the guy like, but what if you lost that guy? He's like, man, you're gonna lose. You're done. And the whole time, Kai was quiet, focus, and he could decide to go back and do it again. You know, we're gonna make him come back and do it again. We've had to drag him, but we can only do that because he's coachable. You know, even though he's our coach, right? He will listen to us, and then I think that's a big lesson. Something like you should take, you know.
And I think that also you notice that kind of goes from the top down then, because that's you know, our team is like, you know, is very coachable. It really does have a lot of people that just listen and trust us. And yeah, it's really fun to have. I remember the warm up from day 2 on that, on Indianapolis. I think Kyle had his headphones on. I don't even think I said anything. I think I unclipped my utility belt, my fanny pack, and walked up and just started a hand fight when he was warming up and listening to music. And we hand fought for like 5 minutes, and I just remember it literally was like we were just doing a little bit of movement, a little bit of angles, a little bit of hand fight, just a little, and then there was this arm drag fake shot that I actually kind of sprawled on, and then another fake shot that I actually kind of lost my balance on, and then another right after it, and they were so fast. They were like 41-year-old Kyle Watson, man. Holy smokes. They were fast, man. Like and I remember just stopping and going, Kyle, I think you're ready, man. And he just went out, and his jiu-jitsu was Watson jiu-jitsu.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, but the main point is you're trying to get at is 4-0 on takedowns, STDs for BJJ.
STDs for BJJ, simplifyingjujitsu.com/takedown. I think takedown, not takedowns. Regardless, after this episode, I'll change it to simplifyingjujitsu.com.
All jokes aside, that helped a lot. And I think that's one of the great things about our team is like literally leaning on each other. And it's like, it's super awesome that like we can coach each other at tournaments, and that we all still compete. It's awesome. I just think it's great. And again, like nothing against like coaches who don't still compete, but I just think it's cool that we all still get excited about it. We still all get motivated by it. We all still like set goals and then go with our students and do it. We just think that's cool because I think, like you said, it is from the top down, and people see that and they get motivated. You know.
Same tournament. Do you guys remember coaching Dan in the open class?
That was a great match.
And yes. The final is, spoiler alert, the final is it earned him a spot on the ISAJJ Jiu-Jitsu show. Yeah, we were talking about maybe doing me, you, and him on it, and kind of having a third person on it because I think he would enjoy that more. Yeah, do you guys remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
I remember all the conversations because he had just a crazy war in the semis, right? The open class for him is that semi, man.
Yeah.
He fought the guy he lost to in his division.
It was a war.
It was a war.
Guy was tough.
He was, and then the guy kind of had him in the same positions and had him with the same stuff, and we riled the troops. We had everybody going wild, and he was like Hulk Hogan. He was like shaking his fist in the air and just gaining strength, and he came up and swept the guy. We're going nuts. We're punching our blue belts. We're going insane, and that was the semis. That was the semis. He won in the last couple seconds of the round. And do you guys remember?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the conversation in between?
He didn't want to do the open class.
He didn't want to do
And
the
that's
open
the thing.
class.
You gotta trust your coaches. And I have a feeling like a lot of my guys, like, or your guys, they trust us. And I was talking to him like, man, you gotta do open class. You're gonna regret.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, you can beat that guy. He's like, no, man, I'm tired. It's a long day. And I was like, man, I went and I was looking for you guys, and I found you first. Like, Josh, you gotta go help me. You gotta make them compete. He needs to do this, And you did it. You went and talked to him, and he's standing there like with this face, like, I don't want to do this. And I'm looking at him like, you're doing it. You're gonna kill this guy.
And he knew he had that guy too. He knew he had the guy.
It was his first match.
Yep, first match. He had the guy that beat him, and you're like, hey, go motivate Dan. It needs to come from somebody else. Such a helpful thing for us to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so it's like when it's your coach, it's like when you're the husband telling your wife something versus when somebody else tells her. We know, right? We know how that goes. But anyway, I go up and I just tell him like, hey man, you can beat this guy. What are you gonna do? We just kind of talked about his game plan. I'm like, yeah, just go do that. The game plan fell out the window, and he just went, and he was tough. And he just stayed in the match. He just stayed in the moment. We eventually found something for him to hit, and he followed through.
Yeah, something I made him drew like 1,000 times.
Yep.
Like dog fight, and something that Kyle does well too. And he won the match, and he came to me after, all happy. I was like, man, you did great. You won the bracket. The guy in the final sucks. I didn't know who the guy was.
Didn't have an idea.
It was this big guy. And I was like,
It's the guy who would won ultra heavyweight.
yeah, he won ultra heavyweight.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, the guy's ultra heavyweight. It's like, I saw him competing. He's terrible. Just collar drag him and beat him quick because I got to go coach somebody else, so I won't be there. And he did it.
No. He said he suggested collar drag. We suggested a bunch of things.
I walked away. You guys were there.
So,
I
okay.
left.
So we're like hitting him with stuff, and he's like, what about the collar drag? And then we kind of pause, and I go, Dan, you can do the collar drag, but he's a big guy.
If you lay on top
I go,
of
if you hit your collar drag, I go, you've got to throw him to the seats. I go, and he looks at me stone faced. I was kind of throwing a nice analogy, maybe to get a smile. He looks at me and he goes, yes, sir. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going to do this.
I'll take him to the seats.
And he goes out, gets the grip. I go, don't forget to push first. He pushes, and he, from the center, throws the guy off the mat, which an IBJJF doesn't do anything. They make you stand up. And he was so gassed, and he looked at me like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was all I had. And I just go, do it again. And he grabs the grip, and the ultra heavyweight just falls down because he didn't want to get thrown in. And he ends up just passing. The guy didn't have a guard. Dan just passed and submitted him. But yeah, that earned him the spot on the ISAJJ Jiu-Jitsu show, man.
Gotta do it, man.
He'll be a very fun podcast.
Yeah. Has a lot of stories.
He does.
Gotta share them.
So
let's make Bryce work a little harder and take a commercial break.
A commercial break so we can go to the bathroom?
Yes.
Good. I'm in the same boat, man. I agree.
Bam.
Hey everybody, this is Josh McKinney, and I just wanted to let you know that we're in the final countdown of our sale of the limited edition I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show imposed will no-gi sets, no-gi collaboration. If you don't know, Imposed Will, my sponsor, and I got together and formed the coolest rash guard, the coolest short set that, of course, I've ever seen. Obviously, I'm biased, but a lot of people have told me it's some of their favorite shorts no-gi set that they've ever seen. Also, so many of my students now are rocking Imposed Will, and it is simply because their rash guards, their shorts, their gis are just so comfortable. To me, the quality is unmatched. They are not ordering the same thing that everybody else is ordering and putting different logos on it. They are obviously doing something different. You notice it in the quality of every single thing that they have, but you especially notice it in how cool the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show rash guard and shorts are. We have 2 color options. Again, the pre-sale is going to end May 1st, and we may never do these again. We really have no discussion of where this will go, but we know we're doing a 2-week pre-sale. You will get your order after that pre-sale concludes, and we get the shipment in. And so, yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Let's get back into the episode. Let's do it. All right, ready? I'll take us back from commercial break. All right, everybody. We are back from a quick bathroom break, and we've had some good...
It wasn't very quick for Junior.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was in there a while.
I'm the one with the weak bladder.
Junior, move your microphone back, dude. What are you...
It's perfect spot.
It was like here.
Dude, you gotta be close to my mouth, right?
Yeah, I'm saying, but you could like pull it that way, and then you don't have to be leaning far off to the wall, dude. But you got to turn it to your mouth too. Yeah, there.
Now I can see your face.
See, now you can look, you can peek over, dude. Chill.
Okay, let's restart.
No, we're going through.
I'm not gonna take that.
This is the interview.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Did anyone catch the Chael Sonnen quote there?
No.
Nobody, not even Bryce. Nobody's watched that much Chael Sonnen clips? No? Okay, well, whatever.
I watch his clip. How tough his life was. And
dude, that's a great one when he's talking about how he's like right in front of me. Somebody threw a piece of gum in their mouth, threw the wrapper right on the ground.
I had an experience like that.
Did
I'm
you?
not lying. I'm driving back from Chicago with Kyle.
Oh, no.
And Kyle's telling me when he was a kid, he had to eat food from Audi because his family was poor. Am I lying, Kyle?
Poor. I said,
keep looking at me while you're telling the story, Junior.
Yeah, and
that sounds
all
these
cereal.
Yes. A lot of people eat all these.
The cereal wasn't brand cereal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got tired. I was like, Kyle, first time I ate cereal, I was in America. I was 18.
He's like, we didn't even have cereal.
We didn't have cereal. I had one pair of shorts, Kyle. Okay, one pair of shorts.
Yes.
And
so, do you guys remember, Junior, actually you don't, do you remember getting in an argument in a hotel lobby about that with, I think the guy was Hawaiian?
no, I think he's from the Philippines, no?
Was he?
Man, that guy was tough.
He was. And you guys, so this was the back and forth. Kyle, you weren't there. I'll explain it to you. They start to decide who had the tougher childhood because they both grew up not in America, right? And there's this point that Junior, you were telling him how you got to school. How did you get to school when you were a kid?
I told him I had to walk like 4 miles. You know, and he told me.
No. That's not what you told him.
He told me he didn't have shoes, and he went by foot.
No. You told him that you got to school by donkey.
And then I told him that I had a donkey, and the donkey would take me to school.
Yeah, that's what you told him. And there was this point, and this was the most philosophical thing I've ever seen in a hotel lobby at 3 a.m, is he then took his shoes off and looked down at his feet.
That's what he did.
And he said, this was my donkey, and pointed to his feet, saying that he
Like
walked barefoot to school while Junior got to ride a donkey.
The luxury of a donkey.
Yeah.
I never had a donkey. Those things are expensive.
That's like a 21 in blackjack, man. That's you can't beat it. Winner, chicken dinner.
He won that one, but Kyle lost by a lot.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
I started crying by the end of the conversation. I told him so many things. He started crying. He's like, I feel bad for you. And he gave me $100.
Whew. Man,
that was
dude,
the day, man.
well, and isn't that how every story with Junior ends?
Yes.
That you give him $100
And you lose.
and you're like, why do I have this Revive rash guard and gi? Why
Gotta
don't
buy
I have
them.
my $100? I didn't want this. This isn't even my size. This is a woman's gi. I have an A3 American flag Revive gi. It does not fit me. It covers my fingertips when I'm in Junior.
You have $100 less in your bank account.
You know what Junior told me? He goes, "Oh, bro, they're fitting small on everyone. It'll fit you."
Only had one A3 left. I had to sell it.
Bro, I've been drying that thing for a year now.
Yeah.
Since 4th of July, 2021. And this guy lied. Dude, but I'll tell you this, the cotton was pre-shrunk. Yeah. I didn't get any shrinking out of it.
Oh, you proved that point. Nice.
So we kind of talked about in the break what we would talk about when we came back. And we're kind of just more looking at simple tips for the day of competition. And just some things that we like to do, some different Junior call them rituals that we do for our students just in the lead up that might be helpful to people that have endured this conversation, the ramblingness of this group. Does anyone have anything, or do you guys just want to keep everything secret?
No,
Screw all the ISAJJ Jiu-Jitsu show listeners.
I like the idea, like you're already kind of like outside your comfort zone. Your body's already kind of like dealing with fight or flight, and so like any way you can kind of like reconcile that, make it to where it's like you're back in your comfort zone. Excuse me, I think is helpful. So I like the idea. I don't even know who said that, or like I usually like to give credit where it's due, but you know, I think keeping in a constant like not tradition is not the right word, but like consistency of like what you do. So for example, if I go to open mat, I stretch and warm up the exact same way. Like, so, and I do that. I don't change that for competition. So when I go and I get in the bullpen or wherever I can get access to, you know, some space, I will warm up the exact same way that I do before I train. Because and I feel like your body recognizes that and says, oh, okay, we're getting ready to do work, and we go. So that's just my advice, is just like try to relax, try to be around people that make you laugh, make you relax. You know, anything you can do to kind of like get you out of the thinking of like, oh my God, I'm about to get on the mat and compete in you know, an hour or whatever. And then pick a time. For me, I have a magic like number. Like I like 45 minutes. That's usually where I'll take like a 5-hour energy, a little beta alanine. The only reason why I take that like is just because I like that. I feel like a lot of times in the bullpen, there's not enough room to warm up. So that beta alanine, a lot of people don't like that skill.
I was just going to say, I think that's the worst advice. I hate beta alanine.
No, people hate that, but the reason why I like it is because it makes me sweat. And like a lot of times I don't have a room.
My body's tingling thinking about it.
Okay, fine. Don't take beta alanine. Okay, but I'm just saying, get where you can do the same warm up you do before you're about to train hard, and also just get in a relaxed state. Try to be around people that kind of bring you down and not necessarily like get you like the heart pumping, because I want people to be relaxed before they go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Before I like to feel like do the same things I do at the gym too, like warm up well, and depends on the day. Sometimes I need to be pumped up, listen to the type of music that got me going. I like to get my heart beating really high before the match and then cool off again and do that a couple of times. And as a coach, I have some students that I know that I gotta pump them up and make them go, or they won't go, they'll freeze. I'd be like, if I know a guy like just lost a match, I'm probably gonna tell him, hey, we gotta win. We need to win. You need to get that mindset. Like we need this. And some guys, you know, are just so into that competition mindset that you just gotta keep it calm and be positive, and they'll get things done. You know, everybody's different. You know.
How do you tell the difference between the guys that need to be pumped up? Because you were kind of talking about it for you at first, but you also talked about it for getting your guys ready and kind of figuring out what they need. And I always feel like that is something you're very good at. What are some things that you notice?
I know them at the gym. I'm with them every day, you know, and I talk to them about tournament, ask them questions that make them uncomfortable, you know, or like try to get them on the comfortable zone, like they're comfortable at the gym, and I try to throw them under the bus and see how they react. And by the tournament time, I know what kind of mindset they're bringing to the tournament, you know. There's tournaments that I had students of mine that I know they don't want to win. They want to lose and get it over with. They're so nervous, and I'm going to be right behind them. You better win, buddy. You got to do this. Don't let your mind take you there. And some of them told me after the match, like, I just want to get done. I wanted to just get there, tap or get tapped and walk away. But you kept telling me, you got to win. You got to do this way. And there's guys like Kelso that you got to calm him down because he think you're going to just tap everybody in 10 seconds.
Because he is going to tap everybody in 10 seconds.
And you don't need to tell him anything. You just like, Kelso, just be rough.
You got to tell him the rules, man.
And no, he doesn't follow the rules. You know?
Basically, Junior's strategy is to tear everybody down. It's like to insult them, make you feel bad, and see how they respond.
Yeah.
And then based on their response, he knows how to coach them. If they like wilt away or they respond well, that's what to do with them in a tournament.
If they don't
insult them, insult their family, and just see how they respond.
I do that to Josh.
Yeah, he does do that.
He handles well.
Yeah, So
and sometimes I do wonder though, how much of the time his insults are that I needed it, or that it was just the mood he was in that day. He needed it. Sometimes I feel like, man, he's kind of getting on everybody today. I think I'm just gonna take my hits right now. I just accept it today.
Makes sense.
He's right. I'm lazy. I hang out with Bryce too much.
Josh
so
is
I'm
doing
lazy.
so well that it's hard to find a way for him to lose.
Yeah,
and you gotta I need him to lose.
Look over here, Junior.
Yeah.
I'm looking at both of you guys.
But the microphone is here.
I need him to lose. I need him to find a way to expose him to that, put him under pressure. I bet here at your gym you're in charge and nobody does that to you. And like yesterday, I saw that you were pretty tired. I was trying to kill you. My back was hurting, and after I couldn't even walk, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I couldn't kill him, but he's tired. So hey, Josh, your guard sucks. And Trevor's going to pass your guard right now, and everybody's watching. And I thought you were going to panic and come up in a crazy double leg because you were doing that through the roll. And Trevor, he went there and was like, oh, I'm going to pass your guard. Man.
He had a good blitz there, too.
Yeah, and you hold your own, and I think that's how winners do, right?
But to be fair, too, 45 minutes before, you also said in practice that I was rushing certain sweeps. And you said if your guard is so good, you should be confident staying there longer.
So after a roll,
yeah.
5 minutes after, I thought you go with, and you that's what I thought you were going to do. You're going to just come up, and Trevor's going to sprawl on top of you. Crush you.
And he would have.
Yeah.
And it just, not only, though, it's not like you just put that roadblock in the way. You also did tell me what I should be doing right before that, too. You gave me that answer before you gave me the problem. And so a lot of times I don't think you're doing it on purpose. I think you're just winging everything. And, I think Kyle agrees with that, too. But to be fair, we think that because we're just winging everything too,
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And so, but yeah, I just think that was a really fun little training
experience between us. Do you guys, what did I write down on my little notepad? Oh, do you guys have any like thought processes that you notice? Because that's what we're kind of just talking about. It's just mindset. But any thought processes you notice in yourself when it comes to like you doing well? You kind of talked about it, like just doing jiu-jitsu, but just like anything else that you notice that really seems to matter, like when you're playing it in your head, that seem to either you're doing well just in rounds or you're doing well in a sense that you're progressing in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I guess it's like different between training and tournament a little bit. What I was addressing in the tournament, I think it's so hard though, because that's one thing I wish I could put a finger on how to teach people to care less, but like it's a hard distinction because I want people to care about, like I want them to want to win. So it's not like I'm saying don't want to win or don't fight hard, but I think like when you're competing, I think those are the best times or the times I've had the best performance is when I was literally like, I'm coming at you and I literally don't care about the results. Like I don't care. Like I'm just gonna come out and I'm just gonna like almost like mindlessly. Like I'm going to be on autopilot. I'm going to go hard, and the outcome's the outcome, and don't worry about it. I think those are but it's just like I don't know how to, as a coach, and I don't even know if people respond well. If I said, hey, if I can get you in that state, would you respond the same way? Even if I could get you to be mindless and just be not care if you do the same thing. But I just think like when you don't put any pressure on yourself at all, I think people have the freedom more to perform. But as far as like training. I do try to, generally speaking, like outside injuries or anything else, I do practice what I preach in the sense that I tell people like come in with a goal, so you have focused training, that you're training with a purpose. And so almost always like a couple minutes before like open mat or whenever I'm training, I'll write down a couple of notes of like I want to get in this position as much as possible, I want to do this as much as possible, or I want to try to focus on this position. And then I'll adjust on the fly. If it's not working, obviously I'll change things and adapt. But usually just in training, I just want to like keep finding the same position over and over and just get as much reps under pressure as I can. And then move on as appropriate. But so tournament thinking and the training thinking just a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that was a big change from my old gym. I was training under. Everything was under pressure. And being around Brazilians too, old school, Carlson Gracie style, everything was under pressure. If I was getting ready to compete, they would try to kill me, literally. Yeah. And when moving here, started training with you guys, and I like the way you guys do things, and I like the times I competed with you guys, I felt better, less pressure. I see you guys winning or losing. You guys don't take all the pressure into your shoulders. Don't talk about it over and over again. And I think it is a better way to compete, I think it works really well for me.
But sometimes.
We're talking about us here, but like as when you know your students well, or you get to know people better, get to a level they need the push or the pressure, you need to be behind them. Like Kyle has a strong mindset. If he's competing to win. Oh yeah. And he works so hard. He does his game well. And I drive to train with him. I know what he's gonna do. Yeah. And he's gonna do that over and over, and he's gonna beat you on there. He's
to
not
anybody that comes in.
Yes. And that's a lot of other guys. All my guys are not in Kyle's level, and a lot of times I'm going to have to tell them how they're going to do things. And it should be done that way to win, because they a little lost or they're nervous or they're like losing it mentally, like they're not there yet. And until they get to that level, I got to, got to tell them how things should be done.
Yeah, man. And that's, you do have to kind of guide people that way. Go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was just going to say that, well, that is also a balancing act too, is the sense that like people have to be technically competent. That's the balancing act, and then still have it mentally. So it's hard because like some people might go compete before they're really ready, and they might just not have the technique anyway. So they could be mentally strong, but just not be able to actually do it, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the people that like, okay, well, they're competent, but now I got to get their mind right. And so it is a balancing act of like knowing your students well enough. It's like, okay, like first of all, I know that they trained hard enough in the gym, and then now that we're here, it's time to compete. Okay, well now how do I get their mind right? You know, those are two different things.
Have you ever trained somebody that had no technique, just little technique, and was good at competing? Like,
Yes.
I had a guy in Florida.
Absolutely.
He had no technique at all.
Yeah.
And he's a good friend of mine. His name is Logan. I'll tell him all the time.
You didn't have to shout him out, man.
He knows. I told him a million times, Logan, you don't do any jiu-jitsu. And he win tournaments. He was like 9-1 MMA fights. I don't know, he had a big heart.
Yeah.
And he got things done, you know, but like those are one in a million type of guys.
I know. I talk about it all the time. I really do. I've seen it so much just through all the MMA, honestly. I mean, jiu-jitsu too, but I've seen it so much in MMA, like the dichotomy. There's literally so many people that are like game day players that they suck in the gym and then they really shine when it's their time. And there's the other side of that, which I would put myself in that category, is that I feel competent in the gym and then I can't match it up. Not to say that I like lose all the time. I just mean that like there's, especially in MMA, I remember specifically being like, man, I feel great in the gym, sparring, feeling like I'm doing great against a bunch of good guys, and then like crumble kind of under the lights of the pressure and stuff like that. I feel like it's interesting that there's people like that are the other way, because I don't know what that feels like. I don't know what it's like, you know, to feel that way where it's like, oh man, I just got my ass kicked like 10 rounds back to back, but I go compete and then I smash some people. You know?
And you talk to them, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna win. I've been doing great. They're like, no, you're not. It's like, no, I am.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I wish you like almost like kind of dissect that person, just figure out like what makes them tick. Like what is it that makes that work?
I don't know. It's different for so many different people. I even notice it with this isn't a negative shout out, just if in case it sounds like it. But with my wife, she competed a few times before she got freaking knocked up, you know.
How dare you?
Yeah, exactly. And
Good job, Josh.
thank you, Junior. But she performed so well when she would compete, and she wasn't training as much as I think she probably should have been to perform that well.
Sure.
And a lot of it, I think, had to do with, I know these girls are training a little more than me. I'm just going to go out and do my best. Yeah. And the biggest thing is, it's not that I'll do my best, I'm just going to get this over with, because that's not the right mindset. The mindset has to be, I'm going to be in this moment. I'm going to be excited about this. This is an experience for me, but I'm just going to be there the whole time. Yeah. That's doing my best, you know? It's not that, I don't know. It's not that, the opposite.
Sure.
But I just kind of noticed that mindset tends to help most of my students. Is there anything that you guys do, like from a coach's perspective, to kind of help instill that? I have a specific example of you, Kyle, that you've always done. That's a pretty Watson dad joke at every tournament. Do you?
Exactly what you're talking about.
So what would that be?
Well, I feel like I know what you're talking about. Like I always like. Well, I like to like try to take a little bit of the edge off, make people laugh, kind of relax. I don't know if this is specifically what you're talking about, but I usually bring people together and I always give them a little team pep talk, and I always tell them that same thing about like, don't worry, understand that everybody supports you regardless. So if you win or lose, like everybody that's your friend will still be your friend. Everybody that's still your family will be your family. And I was kind of like telling like literally nobody cares, no big deal. It's just in the grand scheme of things, it's just a tournament. But and then I would say like, hey, but just also remember, you go out there, you fight your best, but remember the worst thing that could happen is you could die.
Yeah, he says that.
And I usually I started doing that with MMA guys, because I tell them nervous, and I was always like trying to break the ice a little bit. And I used to always do that, and I'd be like, "Hey man, you're gonna do great out there, but just remember, like the worst thing that happened when you step in that cage is you could die." And they'll look at me like, come on, man, it's funny. And you know,
He might die. It's amazing.
I've always loved, like, especially since, because like Kyle, he doesn't mind using the same joke for a while.
No,
right?
no. At least 10 times.
I've always loved kind of walking up during that, like, I've always done that when I see that there's new people competing because they've never heard this. Because a lot of times their faces are like blank, like they're like really into it. Because it's usually a really passionate speech that he starts with and then he finishes it with. And don't forget, the worst thing that could happen is you could die. And then it's deadpan. And people's faces are like they're nodding, they're into it, and then they're like, oh no. Yeah. Oh wait, I think that was a joke.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like other people are laughing. Okay. But there's always that pause. But Junior, do you have things that you tell your guys, anything to kind of help them that maybe somebody else could use?
It's, like I said before, I think I go around and tell them different things. I think everybody's different, you know. But I think the main thing is something that all of us do, that our guys know we care about them. Mm-hmm. You know, we are there. We're putting everything into that, and I think that's the main thing. You know, like how we care. I train, like when I competed here in Kansas, Kyle was so pumped up for me, and again, Kyle, you know, coached so many guys before, and I'm a new guy here.
We had just missed Kyle's division because we were at breakfast.
I went to have breakfast with Josh, and Kyle was fighting that. And Josh, you did great at tournament, the open class.
I did, and but for context, also, I wasn't eating breakfast. It was Junior's breakfast. It made us late.
I was fighting on middle heavy, and I didn't care about weight, and I was going to do an open class, and Kyle was so pumped up, and like I remember thinking to myself, I'm not losing this, and this guy can break something. I'm not tapping. I'm going to win this, and I went to the mindset, you know. And then I did the mistake of looking at the guy up. The guy was competing a lot in the adult division, first time at Masters. And I was like, whatever, I'm going to beat this guy. And I think I competed well that day because of that. You know, when you have people around you that care about you and they, like, trust you, I think that's, like, you feel like, I'm going to get this done, you know. And I remember when I got the guy in Nakimura, Kyle was like, oh, Junior, finish him, go. He's screaming so hard. Like, I was like, I ripped that thing off, and the guy tapped. Like, you know, if you see the video, you hear a guy screaming, like, you know. And for me, it's a big deal because remember, I'm a new guy here. Yeah. He's been coaching since a kid and treating me like he treats all the students and showing that he cares. So I think I try to do that to my students. Like, dude, I care about you. I'm here, and I'm gonna pump you up, and gonna do this together. And winning or losing, we find after. You know, if you oust and you quit on me, I might kill you. But everybody else is fine. I'm nice to the other guys. You know?
I told that story lightly. I didn't tell the real story, to be honest, on the podcast of you telling him you were going to kill him.
He won the match.
He did. You're right. He did.
And he thanked me after.
He did.
He told me, Junior, I was about to quit.
I will literally kill you.
Yes.
He's literally.
Like, I was about to quit. And I wanted to run away from the guy or just turn and let him choke me and get it over with. And I didn't, and I won the match. We're best friends now.
Yep. Yep.
I hate to take a commercial break.
Oh, my gosh. God.
Drinking guy.
But here's the thing is.
And we are back with another Kyle Watson bathroom break. And so I thought I would put a commercial in here and tell you guys about something really exciting that we have going on at simplifyingjujitsu.com. And that is the 3 Lenses ebook. It is absolutely free. And what it is kind of a cheat sheet to how you can learn jiu-jitsu. And as you look at it, you will say, oh, this pattern, the athletic lens, the artistic lens, the scientific lens, this is kind of how I learn. Then there's also resources for who you could be studying, what you could be watching, and how you could be better learning jiu-jitsu. So if you want to hack your jiu-jitsu progression, you should absolutely download the 3 Lenses ebook. The free lenses, holy smokes, it is free. But the 3 Lenses ebook, absolutely free, and it is only available at simplifyingjujitsu.com/3. Now we will go back to the incoherent rambling of Josh, Kyle, and Junior. Hopefully, Kyle doesn't have to take another bathroom break.
All right, so we're back from Old Man Watson's second pee break. Expect more. Trust me, if you traveled with this guy, he can make a 4-hour Chicago drive take 8 hours. No problem. But anyway, we don't have to get into that.
We don't have to talk about prostates.
I thought now would be a great time to talk about just any topics you guys wanted to bring up. Because Junior had some aggressive ones. He was mad about some stuff. And he's like, why haven't we talked about this yet while you were taking the longest bathroom break ever? I was saying, he has the floor. What do you guys want? You're the host of the podcast.
We should talk about the big deal of the jiu-jitsu coach that got sued.
Go ahead. Let's hear about it.
What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, you want to talk about
the podcast. I ask you guys questions.
Okay, this is my thought. I shared my thought on my hit podcast series, the ISAJJ Jiu-Jitsu show, just a couple weeks ago.
Oh, tell us.
But you know, clickbait. That was probably might have been what. But my big thing was, I really don't worry too much about it. I really don't. I don't like, it's just another thing that gets everybody riled up, everybody taking a side or another. And so to me, it's like, this doesn't really affect me. You know, this has always been a possibility. I think a lot of people maybe didn't realize that, that you know, running a jiu-jitsu school, that this is a possibility. Literally running is any business, it's a possibility. Yeah. And so, you know, I guess I wasn't surprised that eventually happened. The whole situation, I don't know. I just didn't feel the need to get all riled up about it.
Yeah. Well, think about too, like how many now with the growth and popularity of the sport, I think there are jiu-jitsu schools everywhere, and there's schools ranging in size from, you know, a few dozen people to hundreds of students. If you think about this, like everybody trains jiu-jitsu across the world, like the amount of times something like this happens is so infrequent. You know what I mean? If you compare it to so many other sports where there's like severe injuries, think about football, think about even soccer. I mean, there's so many injuries. So it's just one of those things where, like you said, it's like people want to get all up in arms and get bothered on one side or the other over, and not to like downplay the injury. I mean, it's terrible. Someone got paralyzed, but it's just like when you think about like statistically how many worse things happen more often in other sports, it's really not something I think everybody needs to get all, you know, up in arms about.
Sure.
Oh, Junior, you got an opinion about it.
Soccer. Soccer is a pretty aggressive sport. I grew up playing soccer.
What's soccer? I don't know soccer. I only know football.
Something that Brazilians play. We're really good at it. Five-time World Cup champion.
Were you ever good at? Did you ever play
soccer? I was good
soccer
playing in high schools.
You've been saying that. I've never seen you play soccer.
Good. I was good.
Dude, anybody that I know, and maybe this is just a white people thing, anybody that I know that played soccer growing up has shown me their soccer skills at some point or another, and you've never shown me your soccer skills. I can tell. I know your Pateca skills are not high level, and so I don't know. How come you guys high five after I insult you?
Anyone in the Midwest?
Because we know the truth.
And Kyle are champions.
First of all, every listener out there right now, you don't even know what Pateca is probably, but look it up and then just know after you look it up that Junior and I could beat you.
It's illegal in 7 countries.
Let me ask you guys this. Yeah. Do you have any unanswered losses in Pateca?
Never.
Yes, you do.
Where?
Don't you lie to me.
Are you talking about the one at my house where we were on unlevel ground? It was nighttime. You couldn't even see the whatever you call the ball. I don't know. You couldn't even see it.
The Pateca.
They didn't even count. They didn't even count.
No, they didn't count. And Kyle was pretty drunk.
So you admit that you do have an unanswered loss in Pateca.
No, we have a time where it was like not even a real game.
No, you did not. You haven't even played us since. We lit you guys up. And honestly, we probably have a better record overall than you guys as a team.
Oh, no. I don't know. Now you're
Yeah.
making stuff up.
That's
Now you're making
impossible.
stuff up. Here's the thing: is just because you own the podcast, just because you have the podcast, you can't just say blatant dirty lies.
That
Yeah.
nothing I said was untrue.
Josh, we are legends. Okay, my neighbors, they come out of their house to watch me and Kyle play.
Bro, you do not have a single person in your block that I wouldn't, in the gi, in a 10-minute round, obliterate.
That's true.
Do you understand that?
That's true.
And so I own that neighborhood,
Yeah.
okay? And I'm also the Pateca champion of that neighborhood, too.
We're gonna
I am
record.
the
We're gonna
king.
record the game.
I am the king of that
All
neighborhood.
right, we're
Gotta
gonna
make
have a
a video.
podcast that's gonna have clips of our next game. All right.
Yeah,
Okay,
that'll be
okay.
bad.
Me, Junior, in tank tops. Number one, we're already winners, right? Then we play the game, and then we see what happens.
Yeah, that's a lot of muscle.
So for those of you at home, Pateca is literally just like what's the tennis game with the thing that we call a Pateca? In Brazil? What is that?
Badminton?
Is that badminton?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
I think it is badminton. But if it is badminton, it's just like if you forgot your rackets.
It's like a ball.
And you were
it's
like,
like a ball with feathers on
yeah,
it.
it's like, let's just hit
Bryce
this.
can put a picture of Peteca.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good idea. Good job, Bryce.
A
Keep it
picture
up.
of me and Kyle just playing Peteca.
Yeah.
We'll record after
Two
this.
guys like this.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. I just seem to always be beating you guys in Pateca.
So another question. So what do you think about people teaching jiu-jitsu online and like giving belts online and stuff like that?
Man, I don't like the idea of giving belts to people you don't know. You know what I mean? Just because somebody watched a curriculum or said they watched it or whatever. And just because you watch something, I don't think it makes you proficient at it. So I think that there probably could be ways that there could be online schools that people could get promoted through. I think it's really hard just because you do have to almost, jiu-jitsu is something you almost have to feel, right?
Yeah.
And so, and, you know, it's kind of one of those things that, like, with coaching, at least how I view promoting, is like seeing this person day in, day out, and them also checking the other boxes of, like, okay, he's a good student. He's like, he's here all the time. He's helpful to other people. That also goes into the promotion too. And so for me, I think the promotion is not just like, hey, I want you to be a blue belt. For me, it's like, I want you to be a head nod blue belt. And so that's probably why I would never do it. But if other people want to do it,
Let them do it,
yeah. If they want to advertise on the podcast and do it,
That would be
yeah,
even better.
send me a message. Josh at simplifyingjujitsu.com.
Marketing guy.
Yeah, I'd be happy to hear it. What do you got, Kyle? You got a topic for us.
No, well, I just thought it was funny because like one of my students the other day said something because like I think his wife was, I don't know if she's annoyed, but annoyed that he was coming to training, and she's like, do you have to keep going to get your purple belt? Because I can just literally go online and buy you your purple belt right now. Like she didn't want to go. I'm like, touche.
Wow.
Well, yeah,
you
no,
should
you-
definitely warn this guy before he listens to this podcast
I know,
in
I
the
know.
car
I'm
with
not-
his wife.
I know, I'm not gonna say but I do think that particular topic is like, you know, is kind of hot button. I think for me it's kind of same. And again, this isn't to like act like, oh, just because I do it, that's right. Everybody kind of does their own thing, right? But people have asked me several times, like, hey, why don't you open up a second location? When are you going to open up a second location, or when are you going to get whatever? And the hard part about my business model is that I built the brand around my name. So it's like, so I'm the face of the gym. So if I start a second place, then I have to split. I have to dilute the first place and then dilute the second place because I have to spend my time between the two. Now, it's not to say that you couldn't hire someone else, but like then really, if you're not there and your name's on it, you're not really seeing what's going on. So I feel like that's the same with the online belt promotion. It's kind of like you're like putting your name on something that you don't really have any involvement in. So again, it's not to say it's right or wrong. It's just like I wouldn't do it because I feel like I have no grasp on what's actually happening.
That was a good explanation.
That was a good explanation. What about you, Junior?
Yeah, I think just like you guys, like I don't think making sense, you know. If you're not that trained with the guy and feel. I think jiu-jitsu a lot of like on the mat. You gotta share technique, show how to. You see something and do something is different, you know. And I think nowadays people come up to you more often asking about belts or trying to push their way into getting a new belt, and that's something that makes it really tough to teach jiu-jitsu sometimes, you know. Like this week, I had a student of mine come to me like, what do I need to do to get better and get the next belt? And he asked me that a month ago. You know, I was like, bro, if you don't remember, I told you last month. you know?
I told you to remember.
Yeah,
you know?
you're like, don't ask me about belts is the first step.
Don't do it. Don't talk about belts. Like, you're going to earn it. Your time will come, and, you know.
No, but here's a better question. Like,
Tell
let's
me.
say you would sell out. Let's just say you would be like, I'm going to do is just start selling belts.
I
No,
love the start of this
yeah,
question.
I want to know, like, what's it worth to you? Like, say someone's like, hey, Kyle, I really want to buy my belt. Like, they came at you like that, and they said, I want a blue belt. I don't want to work for it. How much is it going to cost me? What's your number?
I wouldn't make the first offer. I wouldn't.
You-
I would see what you
Answer
think.
the question with a question. Well, what's it worth to you?
Yeah, because for me, it's like, all right, I feel like I could be talked. If you're like, I told my grandma that I was gonna get my blue belt before she died, and she's on her deathbed, and I've been lying to her. I haven't been training jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I would sell that blue belt for like,
100,000.
nah, like $50.
100,000,
I wouldn't worry about it,
100,000,
man.
that's an insane
Chill, yeah,
one.
chill
Wow.
out. That was a specific
you shot
scenario,
down.
You're not
dude.
training jiu-jitsu. Are you going to give him a belt for $50?
No, but we're talking about what he would accept.
Yeah, I'm just saying, what would be my low?
Yeah.
Where would I
like,
be
where
at?
would- if the guy
Because
was
like,
hey, I need a
Yeah.
blue belt. How much, Josh, would you accept?
I mean, if that's the situation, I might like
No,
have.
I say throw the grandma out the window. Not literally her, but I'm just saying take that out of the window. Just out of
Yeah,
the
but the
equation.
grandma
And
is
just
such
say,
a
no,
mom.
someone you don't even know very well that just started training, signed up last week. Don't even know. Never trained, never competed. You know, they just said, Josh, I don't want to work hard. I don't want to work hard. I don't care about your system. I just want to be able to say I'm a Josh McKinney blue belt, and I'll pay any cost. And you say, what is it? And you say back to them. You say,
So
well,
specifically, I will say back to them because I have read the Way of the Wolf
Right.
from Jordan Belfort.
Okay.
I would find their why.
Okay.
And I would say, really,
because
why?
the price would go up based on their way?
Well, I'm gonna. If we're talking about negotiating with this person, which is what it sounds like,
right.
I need to know why they want the blue belt. Because if they have no good reason, they're not gonna pay any good amount of money. I'm willing to sell it. Listen,
$100,000?
listen. What I'm trying to tell you is, if anybody
Gotta have a
walks
price.
into my gym, if anyone walks into my gym with that offer, I'll sell. I have blue belts in the back. I'll sell them one for like anything over $20. That's what I pay for them.
right.
Any markup, I'm like, yeah, go tell people, and then they'll leave, and then I'll be like, yeah, I don't even know who that guy is.
Yeah.
You know, he must have found that in the trash.
True.
So yeah, I'm willing to part with one of those blue belts in the back for anything over
$20.
Anything over, yeah, whatever the like recommended. The recommended value for it is.
Okay, so let's say then they're like, okay, no, I'm going to keep training here. Not really training, but stay a member here. And I'm going to go and I'm going to compete in every single tournament ever, like under your name.
$100,000.
How much? for the
That gotta
blue
be
belt?
Josh.
I think Junior might be right.
I'd be
I
right
think
at
I might.
$100,000?
It might be a lot.
Wait, no,
You're gonna
they
give
were
a guy-
like 50,000.
Well, see,
Oh,
this
a
is
big difference, guy. I'll sell for 50 too.
No, but
if
I'm just
anybody on my
saying-
yeah.
gym,
I would still do 50. But it would have to be something that I guess in that term it would have to be something like, hey, this money could actually, be of value. You know what I mean? It can't be something that like, okay, this is going to be a really fun weekend money.
Yeah,
It's
You'd
going to have
like,
to
you'd
be.
like, hey, in this new car that I'm driving,
Yeah.
every time.
Well-
I'm thinking about like Bryce.
I
has
saw the
new
belt.
blue
50
and I'm
G's,
driving this
100
thing,
G's, dude, you can buy 13 houses in
I-
Granite City.
yeah,
You know?
it would be like Kyle Watson, the king of Granite City.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
I traded a belt. I had a reason. Me and Kyle, we wanted to play Peteca, and my net was really like a big tangle. You were there. And I asked one of my guys, David, he's a blue belt, to untangle the net. And I told him, I'll give you a purple belt. And he did it. He spent like hours there. And then he did it. He's like, where's my purple belt? And he was serious, like, it's at the gym. You can go and get one in the shelf. I have a bunch. Never use it. You didn't earn it. You know, it's a gift. You can keep that belt at home. You know?
Nice.
That's a true story.
Cross now, just
He probably has that belt at his house, but he cannot wear it.
Man,
On record
Junior
now.
is like a Brazilian Mr. Miyagi. You know, he's making you do his chores, but you're also learning on the way.
Right.
You know, you're also learning
That's how you
lesson,
think.
but he benefits the most from the lesson.
That's not
for
true.
sure.
I'm like a Baby Yoda.
A baby what?
You don't know who Baby Yoda is?
Baby otter?
Yoda.
Yoda.
Watch Mandalorian? You know
Yeah,
that.
I do, but isn't his name Grogu?
He looked like you a lot. That's why I brought it up.
Dude, get out of here. You have the same hand size.
No, my hands are bigger. You have the
You
hands.
guys have the same size hands.
The hand thing started when I moved here, not too long after. I started calling you there to get
No,
your hand.
that's not
Was.
true at all.
So when I moved here, my back was
No,
bad,
it
remember?
started when you
Josh-
were born and your hands never
Josh-
grew from that moment.
Josh was going really hard on me, and I had a bad back, and my back.
Oh, his bad.
And I'm like, I'm gonna beat Josh. That was my goal, you know. And then we were no gi season. I started wrapping my hands around his little hands and squeezing and telling
That's
him, "Bro, you have
not-
really small hands." And I started making fun of his hands over and over again. And he tried to change that on me. And I have a guy in Florida named Barish that used to suffer with me for the same reason. I should call him Small Hand Barish. He's a witness. And I told him after, I have a new guy here that I bully all the time. He has small hands just like you. And that's you, Josh.
Bro,
That's the truth.
it's a video podcast. People can see that, like,
You guys should
you've
just
got
throw-
baby
you should
hands.
just throw it up.
Like, I mean,
Look at this.
You guys should just
You
hold
got-
it.
I don't think we have it in a shot.
Just
Give me
go
a ring.
overhead.
Give me a ring. Let me put on my
Bro,
fist.
don't start with me. We do this all the time. And then we get into the argument of, Junior, you're literally taking the bottom of your palm and it's 4 inches higher than mine. And you're like,
Gotta curl it
look,
over.
Dad, my fingers are bigger
It's
or
like when
longer
people
than
play, like,
yours.
thumb wrestling and they go like over the top.
Exactly. And so,
That's
but yes,
true.
this started when Junior was born and he had baby hands. And I
Every
just,
just
when I
born
first
has
met
baby
him,
hands.
because I'm mean, I guess. I don't know. I just like to roast people. I just was like, hey, dude, you got baby hands. Like one day, because Junior talks trash to everybody. I'm sure he's saying something about me. I'm sure he's saying something
If you
about...
train under me, I probably called you baby hands, like Matt, and you were one of them.
Bro,
you know?
I called you baby hands. And then Junior, being the strategic genius that he is, anytime we would get around a new group of people, he would try to call me baby hands first. So then I would be like, no, Junior's baby hands. And even though
It doesn't
my
matter
hands
now.
are bigger,
It
people
doesn't
are
matter.
like, well, he called you at first though.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no, this is my joke.
Yeah.
No, it's
You're
not.
like, dude.
That's such a lie. You know?
I never lie on this podcast.
I don't think I've listened to every single episode. I don't think you've lied once.
He bends the truth.
I do that.
That's what he
I
does.
mean,
You know,
I leave
that's why
out
he-
facts and stuff, but I'm not here, I don't think. What else you guys got?
Agree to disagree.
Okay.
That's right. No dead time. What you got?
Know that time? What he means?
He's talking about how we're still, how we're podcasting. He was like, no, like time where we're just like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be dead time.
Living and learning, right?
Yeah. So he was saying, can you find another question, Junior? You're the podcast host, aren't you? You made us answer the...
I asked you like 3 questions.
Yeah,
I can't
you
ask
made us
questions.
answer the
We
con-
should ask the question that we asked Bryce earlier.
No, we should not.
No,
No, listen. I play Would You Rather almost every day.
No, we should not.
On the way to school with my son. And
Okay.
it's always usually it's pretty good, but it's always with him. It's something like, would you rather fight a giant June bug or 10,000 little June bugs? That's pretty fair, right?
Well, how big is the giant June bug?
I know. Then
Yeah.
we dive into that, right? But the question we asked Bryce now, that could be something debatable.
Yeah, I don't think that that's anything we need to be debating on
right,
podcasts that all of your students at Watson Martial Arts will be listening
Yes.
to, who
I feel
already
like-
got insulted by the podcast host an hour and a half ago.
I know, you're like Watson students are weird. That's how we started the podcast.
But if
Watson
you
students
think
are weird.
about it, it's true.
We gotta
You know?
we gotta
You know what I
do
mean?
a-
You guys almost had me buying it earlier.
have a voting thing online. And people pick.
Yeah. Like, again, I know that head nod people are weird. I'm aware of that. I am too. You know?
You have a student that is a teenager, have been training him since he was a kid, and nobody knows who his parents are.
Oh, dude, don't talk about him. No one needs to know about him. But one day,
what?
everybody's
You
going to
know
know
what?
about him. He's going to leg lock
He's
everybody.
amazing. I show up at my gym Friday. He sleeps inside his car. And my gym is an hour away from here. Waiting for the 6 p.m. class. Like, what are you doing there, buddy? It's like, waiting for class.
Yeah, he
Like,
didn't won't drive an hour home. Just hang out and
So your parents know you here? It's like, no. I was like, okay. I'm trained.
they know he's doing jiu-jitsu. That's all he does.
You gotta sign a waiver
He has
for
no no friends. You know, like what else is he gonna be doing? Just chilling out.
Good
All right,
place
I'm
to
bringing
chill.
this back. I'm bringing this
Okay.
back. Okay, so
Bryce is loving it because he and Bryce are mortal enemies in the gym. They fight to the death,
Bryce,
and then they talk so much
I
trash
love
to
it.
each other
I love it.
after.
I gotta come here, coach a class.
You should.
we
You're
talked
always
about that-
welcome.
We talked about that before.
We've talked about that a million times. Never
I've had
done
on
it.
my planner a million times. Like,
Kyle has this planner thing.
And-
What I tell you guys, give me the date. Kyle got a plan 3 months
I know,
ahead.
dude.
I
Me
know,
too.
but I have a planner that, and I've written in there a million times. Like, I want whenever eventually I cover, like, I go in these series, and whenever I cover the long step, I'm like, man, I'm gonna bring Junior in to lead it off because he is like the master of the long step pass. It's like I'll have him lead it off, and we'll go from there. But I think we should, which kind of gets us into another good mode of what we were talking about earlier. Is like the nice thing about tag team having a bunch of gyms in the area. I really love the fact, and it just kind of ended up this way. And I really think it's like strong for any team is that if you have gyms that are close enough to cross train, but far enough to not step on each other's toes. It's nice because we always talk about it because we do have students who like kind of jump around and train whatever. But that's one of the nicest things because you get a bunch of different looks from a bunch of different people, and we're all on the same team. But it's still not like we're not like ruining anybody's business or like affecting each other's business. I think that's an amazing thing that it's just kind of happened. And obviously like demographics make a difference. If you open up like right next door to someone, that makes a difference. But I feel like we're all like far enough away from each other, we don't affect each other, but we're still close to the trains. Yesterday when we had the open mat at your place, it's like a whole bunch of my guys were there, a whole bunch of his guys were there. We all had a great training session. We all collaborated, and I just think that's an important thing that teams can have.
It's a big benefit of being part of tag team here. I think like my guys take advantage of that, and they get to see you guys rolling, ask you guys questions. You guys always help them, and sometimes they get to roll with you guys. And something I think in another affiliation is really hard to get you. You're a blue belt, get to roll, ask questions to black belts from other gyms.
I also think there's a culture thing too that I think is really cool. Is like a lot of times, and I can't say that I've never been like that. Like come the ranks when your school is small, you want to hold on to everything you've got. I think that's just the way it is. Like as you get bigger and bigger, you're willing to be more charitable because you're not worried as much, right? And I think a lot.
We
of times,
don't know about that. But
no,
guess
well,
what?
that's
The
not-
martial arts is
no,
like that.
that's not what I mean. I just mean like a lot of times, like in the beginning, you're like worried. It's kind of the whole cross training thing of like jumping to other gyms. You're worried, like, okay, what if they show something that's cooler than what I show, and they think that they're a better coach than me, and you're worried, and you want to hang on to that. And I think it kind of also ups the level because it makes you want to like, hey, I need to have a really strong gym. I need to put out quality. People want to stay with me, but I also want them to get different looks because I know that I don't have all the answers, and like Junior's good at things that I'm not good at. Josh is good at things I'm not good at. If they can get a little exposure to that, not get completely bored with just all the shit I do, I think that's a good thing. I think it ups all of our levels. We all keep trying to put out quality, but also encouraging our students. They see that leadership, like, hey, my coach actually wants me to be better. They're encouraging me to seek out other things. You know?
And there's a lot of people in between the three of us, you know, like the three schools, and then the thousands of Watson Martial Arts affiliates, you know. Shout out Watson Martial Arts. You know, we're not on that level, you know, but
one day, Josh.
Yeah, one day we'll be like Grandpa Watson, and we'll be like we'll be the same.
Okay.
But
again, let's not talk about prostates.
yeah, let's not talk about prostates. So I guess that has been something that I've noticed that we've always kind of done, but it did become much easier when we kind of affiliated with a team that had some local teams around it, you know? Yeah. We've always kind of trained with everybody, I think, but a big thing that I always notice that happens is you draw from that huge group of however many people in the area, and they're getting to kind of bounce back and forth, and maybe there's a new way of doing something at Revive and it's working really well, and it gets tested at the other gyms, you know, and then those gyms, everyone gets to experience it at these gyms, and so if it works, everyone now has something new to work, and it just kind of, I just notice how important, like, not to throw it back to designated winner, but just how important it is to be on the same page with your training partner if your goal is to get better. Yeah. And that's the same thing as, like, if we are all on the same page kind of doing the same things, and it's just a bigger group of us doing it, we seem to be able to get in whatever direction that we try easier and faster together, you know?
I agree completely. Yeah, no, everything's better together. It's like very good teamwork, and it's like, and I also like too is like, I talk about all the time. Like, I think that idea of, like, you know, there's maybe not as much anymore, but you see like some of the schools where there's like the black belts, like, I'm black belt now, I don't care, I was running school, it's flavor of the day. They aren't like really leading by example. I love that we all kind of like lead, like we bounce off of each other. It's like we're always trying to kind of like just keep leveling up. It's like, I want you to be better, you want me to be better, you know, we keep like trying to, like, you know, improve as instructors, as coaches, as mentors, and then that leads to us being better examples for our students.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? I like the way you guys are always trying to improve, and Josh is too young, but like Kyle's been training for so long, and so I go there and like he's trying to drill this, because as you get older, like after my 35, I feel more like you want to do the same thing over and over again. You're comfortable with that. You know, you don't want to start. And Kyle's always like, yeah, let's start working on this thing here and like get me going. And Josh is too young. Every day he's doing something different naturally. But
what?
Yeah,
I've been doing the same thing for a long time now, man. Listen to the podcast, dude.
And we're talking about jiu-jitsu, but it's crazy how, like, see Kyle, like you guys talking about the size of the gyms and stuff, how like you make a living out of that now. And looking back, like when I started doing jiu-jitsu, there were many guys making a living on jiu-jitsu. You know, people had to work and teach. And my parents were like, you should stop doing that. You'll never make money out of that. You should, you know. And I had a job during the day. Like, you should focus on your other job. And you guys have anything to say about that whole experience?
I mean, I think that my best example that it could work was Kyle. You know, like for me coming up, that was something that I saw. I got to be with Kyle so long that I really got to see almost every stage of his coaching.
I forgot you never worked a job, right?
Exactly. So you remember that, you know, the teen that we were talking about that fights Bryce. Sometimes I realize the reason I can't stand him is because
that's you, right?
It's me, yeah. Every once in a while, I notice that. But yeah, and I'm sure Kyle's felt the same way.
Well, man, when I was when I was training jiu-jitsu and it's kind of funny because like I wanted to teach around purple belt. I know Josh did too, maybe even earlier. But it's like when you really fall in love with jiu-jitsu, you're like, oh man, you know. And it's, I don't even think even initially I wasn't like I saw my coach doing well and I was like, oh, I can do well. It wasn't even a money thing. It was like, man, I wonder how I could make a living doing something I really enjoy. And that was more my interest. So like, can I still get by just by doing something I love? I was like, man, that'd be great if I go to work every day not feeling I'm working. So I really, you know, kind of once I saw those doors open, I went down that kind of rabbit hole. And you know, it's scary at first. It's really scary. It's like, oh, you know, but I was really motivated with my wife. I was like, man, I got to take care of her. I have someone else I'm responsible for, not just me. And I'm like, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll work really hard to do it. But initially, I was like, man, in my mind, I was like, I'm going to be working. I didn't think you could make this a full-time job. So I thought, oh, I'll be a full-time teacher, like a school teacher or whatever. I'll do a full-time job, and then I'll have a school at night where I'll just go teach like 2 to 3 nights a week. And that was my original goal. I thought I would do it that way. And then once, you know, I started seeing people like be able to like really do it as a profession, I was like, man, I think I can do that too. It might be hard at first, and I might, you know, struggle a little bit, but I really think I can do that. And so, you know, just kept going in that direction. And I don't think it's for everybody. It's like we've talked about this on previous podcasts. I've referenced that book, The E-Myth, is everybody thinks, you know, if they're really good at something, they can start a job based on that. But it's like it takes more than that. You need some business acumen. You need some understanding of how to deal with people, how to run, you know, ledgers and QuickBooks and all that stuff that goes with it, and understand how to have employees and stuff like that. So, but the good news is you can learn all that stuff. You can learn all that stuff. You look at other people that do it well, and follow it. I mean, there's so much. I mean, you can find anything you want on YouTube. Like that's why this is the greatest country. It's like you can do anything you want. But you just gotta learn how to do it. So. And then also, it's like even when you start doing it, it's like you can't just stop and be like, okay, good is good enough. You got to keep improving. So anyway, that was a long diatribe, but it's just the point that, like, you know, if somebody wants to make a living doing something they love, they can do it. They just have to understand like the ins and outs and really put their mind into it. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the original. No, that was going towards, but I just
that was the right answer though. Yeah. That was I think so too. I think that people can. And I think that, to me, I just think that the option, and it could just be hopeful thinking, but I think that the opportunities for people to, specifically with jiu-jitsu, but probably with a lot of other things that are similar, to be able to make money online, and to be able to make a real living online, and it not have to be something crazy, but just to be able to make enough to not have to work another job or to work minimally at another job. And to me, I see that is probably being the future too. But yeah, I think that the jiu-jitsu school ownership path is a hard one. Yeah. But it's really fun. And, you know, if you don't fail, and if you don't, you know, get caught doing something really shady, you
selling belts.
Yeah, you don't get caught selling belts.
$50,000,
bro. $50,000. Who wouldn't do that?
But wait, no. But how many belts? Well, think about it. How many belts would you have to sell to retire?
Bro,
not very
10
many.
belts.
I'm promoting
10 belts.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna make a paid ad online.
10 belts. I was only trying to promote like 3 people. I'm a Kyle Watson guy. I hate promoting people. I hate giving promotions. People will be talking at the gym and they'll be like, hey, why is this guy still a purple belt? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's look back how long he's been at purple belt. I'm like, oh, he's been a purple belt for 30 years. Kyle, he's just a monster too. Everybody loves him. He's such a nice guy. Kyle's just not going to promote him. Kyle's teaching him a lesson.
Just waiting for that one thing.
Yep.
That one thing.
Yep.
One thing. He didn't compliment me enough.
He didn't give you enough compliments. But yeah, you learn to be a hard grader under the Watson system. So if I'm selling belts, I'm only selling a few. You know, I'm like, I can't be selling too many, dude.
I think you should sell a bunch if you sell one, because
Yeah, you gotta go all in.
You gotta all in or all out.
This may come off racist, but sometimes I feel like that's a little bit of a Brazilian mindset.
I don't know any Brazilians that sold belt.
Well, I just meant
one.
the all-in mindset, not the belt
We
mindset.
know one, but he's
not
American.
the belt mindset.
He was born here.
I was not
and
talking
sold
about the
belt
belt
online.
mindset. I was talking about the. Well, I mean, you sold one. Why not just go all in, dude? Or at least that's the mindset that Junior always pushes to
Yes.
me. You know,
Spouse.
he's a lot of my context of Brazilians.
You don't like, is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or just Jiu-Jitsu or American Jiu-Jitsu?
Ooh,
What do you
that's a
call
good
it?
question.
That's a whole podcast in itself.
I don't know.
What do you
man.
think?
I don't know. What I think, you're gonna ask me. I
Oh,
call
man.
it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I
Like
hurt some feelings. on
if
this one.
people train under some Brazilian lineage, people are doing way before us, fighting MMA, going to gyms and trying to get the sport out there. I don't think nobody was doing gi, pulling guard, triangles and stuff like that before and competing IBJJF. Call it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Take your pants off, put some shorts, go to a sambo tournament, call it sambo. You wanna, I don't know. And if you want to call anything else, you call whatever you want. As long as you're cool and want to roll, I don't care. I'm saying what I call is just And people call my gym all the times like, you guys teach that is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's like Rio Jiu-Jitsu, or is another type of Jiu-Jitsu.
Gracie.
I'm like, I don't say Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I say
Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
this is my lineage is outside of the much Gracie things, but Makai Watson black belt.
Yeah, bro. I'll hit
Watson,
him with
not
the.
Gracie.
You know who Kyle Watson is, and
yeah.
they'll be like,
and most of them are like, no,
no.
They're
And then I'll go.
Most of them are like, never heard of her.
I'll go, have you ever heard of The Ultimate Fighter? And they go, yeah. And then I go, did you watch it until season 12? And they go, no. And I go, well, if you did, you would know who Kyle Watson is. He made it to the semifinal. And then, like, I'm sending them YouTube clips and stuff. And, yeah, that's always the move.
Hey, funny thing is, if you go back and look, there's a video, I should find it on YouTube. Maybe Bryce will pull it up. But it's honestly...
Where's Bryce,
Yeah,
going
Bryce,
to put it?
put it there for us, Bryce.
Where? There's no
But listen,
TV.
but listen, but
He can
listen,
put in a...
Everybody that's been in jiu-jitsu for a while knows who Salu Ribeiro is. He's like, very, very decorated jiu-jitsu competitor, been around forever. And there's a video of him saying we should just call it jiu-jitsu because it's had so much influence from
that's
all
true.
the different places. And I'm thinking, okay, if this guy who is Brazilian and one of the most decorated Brazilian jiu-jitsu competitors of all time is saying we should call it jiu-jitsu, we should call it jiu-jitsu. And here's the thing is, it's not even to not give credit where it's due. I've been pretty close to the source. I've literally been to, I'm going to name drop right now.
Do it. Tell us where you've been.
To Grandmaster Helio's house. Grandmaster Helio himself, before he died, gave me a cheese sandwich at his, a Keiju
Occasion.
sandwich. Whatever. Anyways,
You literally just said sandwich in a French accent. And thought
whatever.
we wouldn't notice.
Anyways, at his house, at his dinner table, Grandmaster Helio slid me over a cheese sandwich. He gave me a private
feel like
lesson
I'm at
while
the Last Supper,
Me and
man.
a whole bunch of other guys, he took us out into the little, not barn, but a little room where all the Gracies, the Machados grew up training on a dirt floor with a tarp on it. Did a private lesson. Hoyler Gracie translated. I've been that close to the source. Been to Grandmaster Helio's house multiple times. Not once, but twice. And trained at Hoyler's gym in Rio a bunch of times. Anyways, my point is, I give all those guys respect. They created something that the world has immensely benefited from. But at the same time, it's had a lot of influences from wrestling, from Steven Seagal. Just kidding. Just wrestling, Sambo, all that stuff. And people put their own spin on it. So it's not that we don't want to give credit where it's due. It's just that if people want to call it just jiu-jitsu, what's wrong with jiu-jitsu? You don't have to say, it's not like when I say, I'm going to do something, I have to call it American first. It's like, I'm going to go do American soccer. I'm going to go do, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to put it in front of it. It's also like I've used that joke before. It's like every time, I drink a beer, I don't need to pour out a beer and thank the person who invented beer.
Yeah.
It's just like, I respect them. I appreciate it. I mean, I don't know. I like beer, so maybe I should do that. But
Maybe it would slow down your beer drinking.
It's not even a thing where it's like disrespecting. And I bet people listening to this right now are offended. It's not the lack of respect. It's more just like, it's been around long enough now, and enough people have impacted it that are not Brazilian. That why do we need to put the Brazilian in front of it? I have nothing against the Brazilian Kyle Watson that's sitting next to me. I love him dearly. But I'm just saying, like, jiu-jitsu at this point. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't need to call it Gracie jiu-jitsu. I don't need to call it Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's just jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know, that's my thing.
Sports grew a lot.
I wouldn't call it American jiu-jitsu because it's not.
I think
would
we
just say
should.
it's jiu-jitsu.
I think we should call it Asian jiu-jitsu.
You think so?
No, okay.
No, guys,
Yeah,
we're doing different
honestly,
jiu-jitsu.
this may surprise you guys, but this argument, it's just not one that I worry too much about. I just call it. I
People get upset
probably.
about this,
I
though.
know, but I probably
No, I
bounce
don't.
between BJJ, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, all those things. Grappling. I say grappling a lot. You
But
know,
like it's getting to a
wrestling.
point. I had a guy trying to. I called Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu like you shouldn't call that. One of my students like why? It's like you should call grappling, and he went is like trying to explain to me. It's like, man, I don't care. I'm gonna call whatever I want, and
Yeah.
like. I think Jiu-Jitsu is cool. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is cool. You can call it whatever you want, but
There's this fun
big deal,
thing
true.
in jiu-jitsu too. Brazilian jiu-jitsu, American jiu-jitsu, it's in all of them. And it's if I can beat you up, I can call it whatever I want.
That's true.
You
Also,
know?
it's that thing where like I think people get like, it's so much of a, like team sport, you get really hung up on like lineage and who you're with and stuff like that. So if it's like say your instructor's really gung ho on like direct from the source, crazy jiu-jitsu, then you're gonna drink the Kool-Aid and you're gonna call it that too. If your coach is like really, really laid back and just calls it jiu-jitsu, you're probably gonna not care either. You know what I mean, I think it's probably kind of what you're handed down a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like if you have a strict, like we only have white gis, you'll be more get your panties in a bunch if someone walks in with a black gi on versus someone who's laid back and like you walk in with a Dragon Ball Z gi, you'll probably be like, oh, whatever.
I feel like you were literally referencing both of our gyms in that.
Kinda.
Because Revive had a strict white gis only for a while. And
'Cause my
it's
match were
not
white.
It's not uncommon to see a head nod guy in a Dragon Ball Z gi.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. I feel like you just threw shade at both of us while giving that.
it's okay. But now you allow black,
So-
white, and blue gis.
Yes, me too.
Oof, I thought that was going a different way. So Kyle, we need to backtrack just a little bit for context because I know the listeners need to know this. When you had the cheese sandwich at the kitchen table, went to the barn, learned the history, did all those things.
Yeah.
Did you have frosted tips in your hair at that time?
I
Did you
did.
have the blonde
I did.
highlights?
I
Do you ever see
you
these
know,
pictures,
here's the thing
Junior?
is I
No, you gotta put it on
you
so
know
people
how
can see.
we were just
Junior,
like,
honestly, I'll show you on my phone. Continue.
I'm just
Kyle.
like Bryce.
Bryce
you should
gonna
this
put it
up
for
right now.
Bryce.
Just
Put it
right.
up
You know,
so people can see.
He can't. Where could Bryce put it up?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, he'll do it. You know.
Yeah. But but it was amazing. It was amazing because I'm gonna say one of the years.
Wait, you had highlights?
Yeah, not that wasn't the amazing part, but honestly, when I was referencing like Salo, like everybody at that point was excited because Hoyler wasn't taking everybody up to visit the Grandmaster. So even Salo and a bunch of other like black, there were probably 40 black belts that all wanted to go up there, and they took this huge tour bus. And so it's like I just was lucky enough to be a part of it and be like, wow, I get to go up
I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
There is no way that after he just was dropping all the Salo stuff and how he knows the Hibero brothers and he ate at their kitchen table or whatever, that this is not the picture that we use to show this podcast. Look at that, dude. Look at that blonde
not even a
hair.
good one though. Like I have one of Salo without a shirt.
He looks
on
good.
I'm talking about your hair, Kyle.
Oh,
this isn't. You. I was just proving the point that you had frosted tips.
Okay. Well,
You know?
and why for a while people called me Dawson.
Bro, this
Dawson's
guy
Creek.
threw up more shakas than anybody.
Holy cow. You got to have a pinky injury at this point from how many shots. You got to have arthritis,
Okay,
man.
all right. So which is worse? Here's another question. Which is worse? Shaka all day, every day, or throwing out oses like nobody's business? Can I tell you what? Wait, I hope the person that I'm about to talk about is not listening.
Oh, no.
Right, so,
Oh, no.
All right. I hope he's not listening. If he is, okay, then you get the point.
Talked a lot about
But I had a private where literally every single thing I said in the private, the person was like, and granted, this person's a white belt. Every single thing I told him, he's like,
Ose.
And it got to the point where, like, halfway through the private, I want to be like, shut the fuck up. If you say Ose one more time, I'm going to fucking strangle you unconscious. When you wake up, I'm going to be like, that's what we're learning next, is how to tap out properly. I'm still not going to let go. And he was like, everything I said is, put your hand here.
Oh, I can't handle that.
Grab your leg, put it here. And I don't know. A mutual friend of ours.
Oh, no, please.
He's a trainer. I'm not going to say it. But a mutual friend of ours, he trained under this mutual friend who said Ose a lot, and I think that's where he got it.
Okay.
Anyways, so
you ever hear the term they hate Ose because they ain't Ose, Kyle?
Yeah, no, but I've heard that.
Because that seems like.
I've heard that's totally awesome.
Dude, yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Junior, how do you feel about Ose? It's Portuguese, right?
No,
Wait, how do you feel
Oh my
about
gosh, it's not
provocative.
Portuguese. Tell us about that.
People ask me all the time, like, why
does that
they
mean?
do this? What this means? I'm like, I don't know.
Wait,
I don't do
wait,
use to
I got
anybody.
something better for you, Junior. I want you to answer this question. We're going to go back to some would you rather.
Why you
Not
looking
would
at
you
my
rather as in like.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about Bryce.
Let's say would you rather every single time you talk to any human being, like when you start and end the conversation, you either have to shock it before you start and then when you end, or Ose when you start. So think about this. I'm going to give an example of both. I'm coming up to you. Junior, I just got to your gym and I come in, I'm like, and then we have a conversation and then when it's done, I'm like, okay, or I come up to you and I'm like, Junior, hey, how was your day?
No.
Then you start saying whatever, and at the end, I'm like,
Ose.
So which one?
The little handshake.
The shaka.
Yeah, dude. I think that proves it. That the shaka is way. Honestly, I know a lot of people
Less
that still.
intrusive.
I know a lot of people that still shaka.
Yeah.
If I wasn't throwing the dog pound all the time, I might throw the shaka every once in a while. If like my hand just needed busy, maybe I was going for a thumbs up, and I had just like I don't know, my fingers were just warmed up, my pinky just boom pops
Well,
out
here's
there.
something I do a lot. I don't really do this as much in pictures nearly as much as my Facebook would imply. That I
used to.
Yeah, I used to do this
Yeah.
like it was summer. No, it was like
Young man Watson.
Yeah, it was like no right? But now here's the thing: is like anytime I make a picture, I want to emphasize the person I'm with, so I always point to them or I point to their belt. The problem is sometimes I don't realize the height difference, right, or whatever. So sometimes the pictures come out and I am pointing right to their balls or other parts, whatever.
Watson,
I'm pointing right. I know it was on the podcast. Sorry, but I'm pointing right to their.
Everything you've said has been on the podcast.
Right, I don't know, but I'm pointing right to their junk, man or woman, and then the picture comes out. I'm like, why am I pointing at their junk? I didn't mean to.
And why am I so happy about it?
I was trying to point at their belt or their person, and I just didn't know where I was pointing because I'm looking at the camera like.
Yeah, that's rough,
I
man.
I just crossed my hands now.
Oh, you do?
I had a guy come from another gym not like 2 weeks ago where he was on those. He's still there. I hope he listened to the podcast. Like,
Oh no!
And he like asked me 1,000 questions. Like,
This
how to,
poor
if
guy.
he's a blue belt. Can I tie the belt like that? Am I allowed to use the other gym's gear? Do I have to buy your gears? I can buy gear anywhere. And then when we got the class, like you line it up, it's like no, just gonna start like that. And everybody was a big morning class, and I wanted to let him know how things work there and try to find an easy, funny way to do it. And I was like, look, guys, we're gonna start class. I'm gonna show a technique, but you can start doing hip skates down the mat 40 times to get warm, you know. And you ask me what you should call me like twice already. I say call me whatever. You didn't like that. You can call me daddy. Or you can call me.
I knew that.
I give you my word. I was like, you can call me daddy. Because I told him, you can call me junior. I'm done. So, oh, no, but I call you professor or master. I'm no master, none, nothing.
Yeah,
and
but call me daddy.
Say
Yeah.
that. What do you say? to
I
that?
almost didn't finish high school. You can call me professor.
Yeah,
you
dude.
know. And
But what do you say?
And I'm as smart as Junior. You know, like
They
we're
start
struggling.
everybody was laughing, and then it's like he looked at me like, "You want to do the hip escape or do the technique?" He's like, "Oh, just do the technique." I was like, "Yeah, no, like you can call me Junior, I'll call me Daddy." It's like, okay, and never ask a question anymore. Stop pulling the mat every time he'll go in and out, and he's okay now. He's a
He's
member.
like we're actually in the middle of a lawsuit right now.
It really is different just to know how different gyms operate. Because I'm sure people have listened to this, and I'm sure, one, that they're like, man, Kyle Watson is a wild card. Yes. But two, I think that they go, oh, wow, that's just totally different. Do you guys think that that's where jiu-jitsu is going? Is, you go to a college and there's teachers that say the F word now, and they're like, oh my gosh, who's this? He's got, a face tattoo and he's teaching my econ class. And so, things are just different, I'm sure, in school and stuff. Do you think it's going to be like that on the mat where just the culture of jiu-jitsu has changed? Or how much do you think the traditionalism is staying?
I think that it's gonna always have people that like the traditional way. They like to be told what to do, when to do, how to do. They like the idea of like, not against anybody, but like bowing to the picture and doing the gears this way. And there's people that like that, and there's people that who like a more relaxed environment. I have members that chose to go to more traditional school and left us because they like that way better and works well for them. And I have people that did the other way. So I think we always have different ways. That is the 10 Planet guys that is way more liberal than us, like only no gi and this style. So I think every human being is different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just really comes down to the school and the person. I think it has evolved over time where people are getting more and more laid back, and people are more like, after they've experienced jiu-jitsu, they're kind of like, they know what they like and what they don't like. And so they're more willing to like seek that out. So I feel like it's changing a little bit. I do think people like feed off of like routine. So that traditional aspect is really, really good for some people. But I also think there's some people that like kind of they're a little more rebellious and don't want to be bound by that. And they're like, hey, I just want to come back. I want to come in and learn something and not like have all this formal stuff. So I don't know where it's going, but I think it's just going to still come down to like, what you're exposed to first. Like, what you're exposed to first, whether it's laid back or traditional, and then kind of what you kind of vibe with,
Don't get me wrong. I think there is people that do jiu-jitsu and they hate everything about jiu-jitsu. I'm not one of those guys, Any tradition or anything they do about jiu-jitsu, I have guys like that. Yeah. They just want to roll, not even drill anymore, or even act like a coach in front of the class. They want to walk right over you, do whatever they want and leave. I'm also against that. I know Kyle it is true. You got to have structure and like.
Tell me about it.
Should like it. People should like the sport, and there is some things on jiu-jitsu that's how the sport is. Part of jiu-jitsu, part of being on the mats and stuff, and you should keep it. And that's what I think.
I like that. Why do you think? Not that we haven't talked about it a bunch, but do you guys have any other points to why do you think that having a coach and a team around you is valuable?
For me, like I say, having you in my corner, Kyle in my corner, having people that haven't been there and did it is already a big deal. He did it before. He's still doing it, and he knows. He's being around the sport. He saw other people doing. He was present, and he's always updating his game and know how to do to win, how to act at the gym, and how to teach classes. Every aspect of jiu-jitsu, I think, is so important to have people that have the experience, did it before us, so okay, at least copy or. Okay, Kyle.
I was just gonna say, whenever you're ready for a third bathroom break, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
All right. And we're back with one more commercial break from Kyle Watson, from Kyle Watson's Tiny Bladder. I'm sorry. But speaking of Kyle Watson, he had referenced a takedown instructional. And when you look at the fact that this guy is going to tournaments and having 100% takedown rate, and that is not an uncommon thing. I couldn't even tell you the last time Kyle didn't take somebody down. Anyway, that's irrelevant. We are going to do something really exciting at simplifyingjujitsu.com. It kind of came up with it while Kyle was telling me, while he just kept shamelessly plugging all of his instructionals. But at simplifyingjujitsu.com for the next 2 weeks, so until May 8th, we are going to be doing 50% off. We're going to be doing half off of everything in the store because we are going to be doing some new stuff at simplifyingjujitsu.com very soon. And I thought I would really just try to make anything in the store as accessible as possible. And so all you have to do is use promo code NEWSTUDIO. Obviously, if you guys recognize, we got to record this episode in Simplifying Jiu-Jitsu Studios, and I'm in Simplifying Jiu-Jitsu Studios right now. And so that is going to be why we get to do new Simplifying Jiu-Jitsu content because of this new studio. And we're going to have so much new and exciting things to share with you guys. But first, before we do, we wanted to make sure that we made our best content that we have right now available to everybody for 50% off. Don't forget, you can go to simplifyingjujitsu.com and use promo code NEWSTUDIO for the next 2 weeks until, what did I say, May 8th. Let's get back to the episode. All right, guys, so we're back from bathroom break number 73 for old man Kyle Watson. I thought that, at this point, we really have done a lot of podcasting. I'm sure that there have been times where you're like, oh my gosh, I hope that this podcast ends, There have been times that all four of us have hoped that it ended. But at this point, if you are still listening, I'm sure that you do realize that you do get some gems from these two guys. And I thought it would be a good time to just kind of open up the last bit of our conversation with our general finishing question on the show lately, which is, what is some of or the best jiu-jitsu advice that you have ever gotten?
I have a couple, but I don't know.
Let me hear.
Yeah,
drop them.
Like a white belt. One thing a good advice I had is for me not to trust my instinct. Like, you think you know how to fight, you think you know how to grapple. That's what somebody told me, and it was true. I remember I used to headlock people and squeeze as hard as I could, and then they're like, you gotta learn jiu-jitsu, you gotta learn the technique, you gotta learn this new skill, and stop trying to trust your instinct and learn jiu-jitsu. And that kind of got to me, like, yep, that was probably the best I had at that time. Like, when I'm in this position, I gotta look for jiu-jitsu. If I'm, I still use that to my students all the time. A couple of days ago, a guy was getting out of the back, and I was gonna mount him. I told him, put on half guard. It's like, no, but I like to turn on my back and roll. It's like, bro, do jiu-jitsu. Get your half guard. You know how to fight from here. You don't know how to fight from this crazy roll you're doing, So I think, that was the best advice I had. It.
What about you, Kyle?
Well, so in a previous episode, I think you asked me this question. So you'll have to go back and see what my initial
it changes, right?
No, and that what I said before was still stands. But I will say a second one on this one. And the bad thing is, like I said previously in this episode, like that, I like to give credit where it's due, but I don't remember who told me this. But it's really weird how, like, later on things, like, it's kind of like we talk about, like, parents tell you stuff and you're young, you don't listen. And when you're older, you respect them more, and you're like, oh man, everything they said was right. It's kind of the same thing I feel like happens a lot with coaches, is that I wish I would have known earlier on. And I don't even know that and I tell this to my students too, even if I'm telling you now and you're a white belt, you're not going to listen to me. You're not going to take this to heart, but I really wish you would, is that I think people need to really build their jiu-jitsu game in a really strong foundation of escapes, defense, survival. But the problem with that and why it never works is that when you first start jiu-jitsu, the fun part of jiu-jitsu is the submissions. You want to be able to have that little bit of ego. You want to be able to, like, oh, I got that person. I got this person. I got that person. Or I submitted that person a couple times in one round. Whatever. Everybody wants the submissions. And now with YouTube and all the easy access to all the material. People want all this like fancy stuff and they want to come in and implement it right away. And then they come and try it and they wonder why it doesn't work. Not only have they not drilled it properly, but I really think if people would listen to their coaches, or maybe me right now, just saying and dedicate, you know, even maybe if it's only a year, I know it sounds like a lot of your jiu-jitsu journey, but if you just dedicate a lot of time to defense and escapes and always being able to like to kind of get out of the, like if you look at the data, like what are the most common bad positions and then what are the most common submissions, and then spend your time focusing on escaping those things. I truly believe that you spend way more time on offense, which is what you were excited about in the first place. Mm-hmm. So everybody's excited about, I want to do triangles, I want to do arm bars, I want to do femoras, I want to do all this stuff, I want to do reverse whatever. What was it?
I wrote it down for you. The upside down cow nipple.
Yeah, everybody in jiu-jitsu wants to do the upside down cow nipple, but you can't do that if you can't even escape mount.
And you definitely can't do that without buying Simplifying Takedowns from
That's right. So I just think that like, but the hard thing is like I said, even I've told people this too, is even if someone came and told me that, someone I trusted and believed in came and told me that as a white or blue belt, I probably wouldn't have listened either. So because you still want to do the exciting stuff. And it's like I always joke about like, oh, it's like when I make you work your bad positions, I always joke with my students, I said, it's eating your vegetables. Your parents always say you have to eat your vegetables and you don't want to do it. I make you work your bad positions, eating your vegetables. So my question back to you, Josh McKinney, to make you suck less at jiu-jitsu, which you don't suck, but if you want to suck less, how would you get that? If like let's say that you believed what I said and you thought that was a good idea, how would you make a white belt follow through with that and take your word for it that is time well spent and get them to do it?
To me, it's like I think people are going to buy in so much more. But yes, to your point, I do think that. I'm going to ask you guys, because both of your questions or both of your answers were similar in the sense of like kind of coach's perspective and the importance of just kind of trusting your coach. But I'm going to kind of come back at you guys with a different question in just a little bit. But I totally agree that people should listen to the coach that sees them over the people that they hear online. And I know that that's like us talking online, but I just think that that's kind of why I wanted to do a podcast that was lighter with you guys, that wasn't as, like interview style, so we could kind of talk about this stuff. This was something that Jared and I are eventually going to talk about on the podcast too, is, I don't know. I think it's just the fact that nowadays online you can learn anything and you can learn how to be pretty good at anything. But the problem with jiu-jitsu is it's such a give and take process to learning jiu-jitsu. And if you're not getting one of those things, then you're not going to learn jiu-jitsu. And I think just making sure that you have a system of getting people good at jiu-jitsu that you know works, and you can kind of prove works simply by how good the people are on your mat, or if they compete, how they do, and you can kind of prove that those things work. But I think it's so much easier to then get somebody that comes in the beginning like, hey, look at this process. This isn't just me, or this isn't just one person that you have to trust. This is a process, a whole system that works together, and it grows. And that's kind of what we talk about having with the cross training that we've been doing and stuff like that.
Makes sense.
So on that note, you guys are of the perspective now that you've been coaches for quite a while, okay? And like, I don't want to say this, but you guys are just freaking old. You're so much older than me. It's unbelievable how you guys even
knew how the microphones worked was baffling to me.
I know when I came in, Junior literally was like, had his mouth on one of them.
Junior
Like,
goes-
do I talk like this?
I never see one of those in Brazil, man. They
Yeah,
don't
he
have
goes,
that.
"Is this a spaceship? Like, I don't
Crazy room.
What is this?" But on that point, there was a point for both of you guys where you kind of had to go off and be your own man when it came to jiu-jitsu, kind of what we're talking about, where like regardless of the reason, there was a reason. There was a point where it was time to go do your own thing. And obviously it worked out for both of you too. You know what I mean? It's put us in this awesome situation, and both of you come with really great things that you've learned from so many different people in jiu-jitsu, and we kind of all bring that together. But to that point, is it important for some people or for everybody or for whatever to go off and be your own man? Or what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know.
I know that's a hard question.
I think you can be under the person you are training and start your gym. That's what you're talking, like you mean it, right? And run your school and be successful. For me, it had to be ended up being the way that things, went through. I also never wanted to be under a franchise, and I didn't want to be related to the gym I started. And when I moved here, I don't even know how I ended up under Kai Watson. I messaged him and I told him, like, I want to train at your gym. And he asked me a bunch of questions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to go there. This guy don't like me.
Made you come
and then
out
he's
for
like,
coffee.
Let's go have coffee. And then I drove there. He was already waiting for me.
It's like, what's your mother's maiden name?
Yeah.
And the one thing that he was looking me in the eyes the whole time. It's like, so what brings you here? What do you want to do on my gym?
Yep.
And I was like, man, my back hurts. My back was in bad shape. Like, I just want to drill and stuff and start like this and that's. Like, no, don't worry. You got to. And I got there was you two, and you guys were trying to kill me. But
we were showing that our jiu-jitsu works. The system works. You joined the system.
Yes.
That was the whole thing.
Yes, it worked.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you gotcha.
Yeah.
you got me good. And I taught me a lesson, but like I
mean, we
Yeah,
got
how
you,
dare
like,
you
no, like,
come
we
to
got you
St. Louis.
A part of us.
yeah.
How dare you come to St. Louis and be
And I-
Brazilian?
Yeah.
You know?
And
I
I-
do jiu-jitsu in my
Yeah.
territory.
you guys were very welcoming after, and I think to be your own man, I don't think I would have done without you guys and Nick Sanders, all the support I have with you guys. So some way I was on their team, And at that time, Kyle, we were talking about getting under some affiliations and stuff, and Kyle can explain better how he got under Jared. And when I met Jared, I was like, man, this guy is awesome, and the way he was running this is amazing, and I want to be part of this. And that's how I ended up here, and I think it was the best move I ever made, And that's how I think Revive started, and that's one of the reasons Revive grew so much, all the support I have around me,
What about you, Kyle?
I think it depends. I think there's multiple ways, like where you say go your own way. It kind of depends, because there's like some people that are like, hey, I don't feel like this gym's the right fit for me, so I'm gonna go my own way. And there's sometimes the people like, hey, I want to teach and run my own academy. I want to go my own way. So I think it's just kind of is an individual thing. Where for me it was like, it's more circumstance. I had a job offer where I was like, hey man, I can run my own program, and that was already in the back of my head. That's something that I wanted to do. I was like really trying to do my own school at some point, and the opportunity arose. And so it was just one of those things where, like, in my head, it wasn't that I was gonna like, I really want to do something against my coach's wishes. It was like, all right, I have an opportunity. I'm gonna talk to him about it, see what he thinks. And like, it's sometimes important. Like, sometimes you're gonna do something whether you have your coach's blessing or not. But it always feels better when you have your coach's blessing.
Of course.
And my coach at the time was like, yeah, do it, whatever. So it's like that was my time. It was like that was my go my own way kind of thing. I knew at the time that, like, man, I'm making a decision where, like, it's like I'm gonna be the instructor now, so it's gonna be harder being the student. And I don't know that I would say, like, I don't think like depending on where you are in the belt rank, like obviously your black belt is different. I was a purple belt at the time, so it's like I don't know that I'm necessarily ready. I was ready mentally, but maybe not, necessarily like skill wise. But it's like you have to make that decision, and that's why I always tell people, like anybody that comes to me and they're like, "Hey, I want to start my own school, or I want to, do this or that, or whatever." I always let them know, especially if you're gonna start your own school, is like you have to be ready that like, okay, now your training and all your goals take a backseat, and now the students become the forefront and become the goal and the most important thing. And so as long as you're ready for that kind of like impeding your own progress. And then there's other people that might be like, no, I'm still going to focus on my own training and who gives a shit. I feel like those people probably won't have the most successful school in the world, right? And then there's other people, like I said before, that may just feel they go their own way because they don't see eye to eye with their coach. And so it's just back to my point. I think it's a really individual thing. But for me, it was a matter of like I had in the back of my head, I want to open a gym at some point, and I had the opportunity, sought out the blessing, got it. I'm like, boom, let's do this. Now, I think it's like anything, like anybody that's never taught before, they always feel like they're not ready. You know what I mean? Not that they're not taught before. I taught a bunch of individual classes, but when you're always nervous about when you're in sole control because you're like, oh, am I really ready? What if they ask a question I don't know the answer to? Blah, blah. So you're like nervous, but you kind of have to fill into that role. But anyway, so I just think it's an individual thing.
And so, like, for you guys, do you look at it any differently? Like when a student, if that happens to you, like, because obviously Kyle's living the dream, his favorite freaking student sitting right here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, Junior's been with him for. I meant me.
Here, I became the favorite student because you don't even go there to train with him, and I'm there every week.
But you know what? I've defended the turf for so long, man. I held that place down for so long. He feels like it still smells
like his urine. Like he marked his territory so good that you still smell.
Yeah, that's a lot of people think like that, and they're far gone. Like they don't even talk about you there anymore.
Bro, get
don't even know
out
who you
of
are,
here.
Right?
Get out of here. Obviously, you haven't talked to the Asian group at Kyle Watson's.
There's 5
they all love me. They're all like, oh, yeah, Josh McKinney. Big shout out, Josh McKinney. That's the group I like, just so they know. Shout out Asian crew at Watson's, which is all of them.
Everybody else
which is the whole team.
Cusick is my best friend.
Is he?
Yeah, we're pretty close. He comes to Revive like once a week, and we train together. So
yeah, I think he's on steroids.
He's a big guy. He's strong.
Yeah, I think we all know it too, and we've all been dancing around it for a while now.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to keep that in too, so he knows that we've all caught on.
Okay, tell me 3 names you should get tested.
Like
just steroids.
Oh, so you want to finish with controversy?
3 names
that should be tested for
Cusick
steroids.
not included because I already brought his name.
All right.
Junior, honestly, I think we should put Kyle Watson on a test, man.
That guy has a crazy main strength.
This dude's been peeing all day. We could get the sample easy.
That's called diabetes.
Yeah, I think that we should see.
He should do a prostate exam.
Just for context, before we recorded this episode, which, I don't know, started 3 days ago, before we recorded this episode, they went and had this strength contest on my dad's, a time static contraction machine. And it basically is a machine that you can push against. It doesn't move, but it calculates how hard you are pushing. And there was this point where Kyle was like 200 pounds per square inch or something underneath Junior's score when he was supposed to be at 100%, and then he just like wheeled it up 300 pounds.
Stop breathing.
It was the craziest thing I've ever seen, and he does that in training too. And so my test number 1, Kyle Watson.
Good. You should test him.
Test number 2.
You do test number 2.
Yeah, who do you got for test number 2? You can choose anybody. Obviously not freaking Bryce over there,
Let me think about something else. God, I don't want to start beating controversy.
Maybe you should. Who do you got, Junior? Who are you testing?
A lot of people, so it will be hard. Like to pick only one. My gym, then everybody's huge there.
Yeah, dude.
Boys,
they are. You're pretty big.
Honestly, I think your 3 tests could be at this table. I think, I think you guys are obviously looking at my physique every day and like, Josh has got to be on.
Nobody tried to test you, Josh. They look at you
man.
like
I try to
Josh
get people that want to
thing
test
is, like,
me.
some of the people that like have been caught recently, it's like you kind of like, it's like there's no question. Not throw those people on the bus, but it's like, man, when you're like, some of these guys are like in their late 30s, early 40s, and they look like a fucking bodybuilder. It's like, okay, yeah, right, all right, you know what I mean? So it's like the ones that are getting popped is kind of like, okay, there's no question. But there's several other, I'm sure they're like that, you know what I mean, that get away with it. But I'm not naming names.
Okay, so you guys, I'm the only one who threw out the test, and it's Kyle Watson.
That's not.
And guess what?
he's here.
He's testing positive.
That
dude.
doesn't create any controversy.
Yeah, I'm not trying to create controversy. We had a great podcast. We can just finish right here. You know,
That was a good podcast.
it's been good. Are we in? Are we done? Is that how we finish the episode?
I think that was
Well, so you know the whole pig thing. So
Okay, I guess it's not.
We're back. We got to come full circle. No, so I
Okay.
got to listen. I don't know if it's like a terrible like faux pas to like bring up other podcasts on podcasts, but I was on.
It's
on
not.
A,
You
I
can
was
do
on,
that.
I was on a recent podcast and I talked about this pig, but the reason why I brought it up is because they do a thing where the next person they have on.
Oh, you're on Roll Radio.
Yeah, they ask a question, the question that the person before asked. So my question was about what we've asked about, like, if you had a pet pig, would you eat her as a,
Oh my gosh.
as a like one last time to enjoy her, or would you think it's gross because she's a pet? So anyways, that was my question. Well, the person they had on next, I haven't listened to it yet, so I don't know how he answered. The person they had on next was Gustavo Dantas, who is like an old school guy, been around forever. So I do want to listen to that episode just to see how he answered my question. I have no idea.
I don't know who's after me, who's got to answer my question. Mine was something super specific.
Yes. Did
You
you
have
do it
an
recently?
athlete,
Did you do it
and
recently?
I just recorded, and between you and me, it'll be out by the time this episode comes out. But between you and me, I spend a lot of time bad mouthing Bryce.
Oh, nice.
Like way more than it is funny.
I don't ever want to badmouth Bryce ever again. And I'll tell you why. Because every time I gave Bryce the signal, I had a fresh beer in front of me.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty awesome thing.
You
You
did
know
that
what?
signal many times.
Yeah, Bryce doesn't usually come through, man. But today he's been on it. Every once in a while,
So what you're saying
Bryce is on fire.
So what you're saying is he's a fan.
Yeah, he likes Kyle
Yeah,
Watson.
right,
He watched Bryce. Did you watch The Ultimate Fighter season 12?
Yeah.
When it came out?
On George St. Pierre's team.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Everybody watched that season.
Dude.
It's because of Kyle.
I didn't even realize. I'm sorry, Kyle. I would have introduced you to Bryce. One time in the last 3 years.
No,
I'm
man.
sorry,
Kyle, you're gonna make
Bryce.
you
You
a
should have
promise.
told me you were a fan.
What is it? What's the problem?
Me and Josh will eat your pig when your pig died.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna grill that thing and make a nice barbecue.
Yeah, we could do that.
We'll do that for you.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And let's
Because to
let's
the
do this.
people that say you can't, if you think about it, which you probably shouldn't, but if you do, you eat bacon.
Yeah.
You eat bacon,
But
right?
wait, yes,
it
I
would
do.
be a double standard
Pig-
if you didn't eat
Yeah.
it.
But let's listen to this. Let's
You should
think about
feed
this
it
idea.
acorns when it's starting to look like things are not going well.
Does that make it go to spiral downward? All right.
No, no. It makes no. It
Just
makes
gain
the meat
weight.
taste better.
Oh, I didn't know that. I know. All right. Well, here, let's listen to this.
I'm making.
I don't
special
think that we
remarks.
should, because I have no idea of her longevity at this point. So I can't say, hey, the next time we podcast, let's eat her. But let's say that when she does die, let's do a podcast and we all share a little bit of Meg.
Celebrating her
Podcast.
life. I know how to kill and
Yeah,
kill.
celebration of life. He barbecues her. He brings her here. We all share. And we answer the question right then.
Man.
Would I eat her? We'll answer it then.
Okay.
But let's not
that's
wait
true.
and make sure that let's not say that we'll only do a podcast then. It's just also then.
I can't believe that this
That's
is like
a deal.
major talking.
I don't think
point
that
on
pig
the
is gonna
ISAJJ
last long because she's
Jiu-Jitsu
the
show.
last legs.
You what?
She's pretty old.
You think?
She gets around just fine.
How
They're
long do pigs just live?
Like
50.
Like
they're
forever,
like,
right?
Like the one we have, they told us like kind of like a small dog, like 12 to 15 years, and she's like 11, so we're still got some time.
But didn't they also tell you that she was going
Supposed
to be
really small.
Yeah, I
right,
feel like they were
35
not.
pounds, and she's like 65.
She tried to
I
bite me
feel
last
like
week.
there's a
They
big
lied.
chance that she outlives you. And I feel like
but she's probably thinking in her head, she's waiting for me to die too.
She's gonna eat you.
since
She's waiting
we're-
for me to die.
since the topic of death has been brought up,
The feeling is mutual.
is it disrespectful to ask you to put in your will if you die before Meg that me and Junior get to eat her?
No,
because
that's
obviously
it's
we're going to
extremely
outlive you.
appropriate. But what if Laura's not home? I die. Pig starts.
Eating you?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I
And
don't.
then with the pig with you inside.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, I
We
wouldn't.
should
I
probably-
wouldn't know. I would
We
need
should
to.
probably. That went too far.
Did it? Okay,
Well, at
let's,
one point the pig's gonna die.
guys.
We're gonna throw her meat away.
Maybe we can end the podcast with this. Is there anything you guys want to say to finish?
wasn't that bad.
Just that everybody train jiu-jitsu because it's awesome. Find the right gym, takes care of you, wants you to do your best, and then enjoy all the benefits it has to offer.
I agree with that. What about you, Junior?
I agree with that too. I think jiu-jitsu is great. Changed my life. I think it's the only opportunity I ever had in life was jiu-jitsu, and that's all I did since 18 years old, and I love it, and I think you should try it out. You're gonna love it.
Man, I agree.
Except that all the people who are listening to this
I was
right
just
now
say, but do you guys
probably
think somebody
train.
listened to 2 hours and 40 minutes of us rambling about
Didn't
eating
train.
pigs?
I know the Revive guys will.
There's this, yeah, I know, but the Revive guys are weird. You know?
Bro,
So
I
yeah,
have a
everybody's
guy-
listening probably.
You know
already
who I
trained
like at
jiu-jitsu.
Revive though? Big shout out, Adam Crutch.
I was gonna talk about. He has a picture of you on his phone. Is his
He's-
screenshot? It's
dude.
like Josh. His name
Yeah,
is
it's
Adam.
not, even, not even his kid. It's you.
Dude.
No, it is. I'll show you. He gave me this necklace.
Adam Crutchfield, when he got his blue belt, I was going to give him the handshake hug because I was like, hey, we're homies. He listens to the podcast. And instead, I went handshake, and he went handshake into the dog pound where you make them kiss. And we both just flowed into it.
That was beautiful.
It was literally like I was watching Monday Night Nitro in the WCW. I know you weren't in America yet, so you weren't aware of this. But there was a heyday in pro wrestling
Let me tell
that
you.
I need to tell you about.
I love Crutchfield, but I'll trade him for
who?
one of the brothers.
Which one?
Anyone. You know which one I like? The blue
Post
belt.
Malone.
Do you want Eric?
Post Malone, yeah.
Yeah, I would consider that.
Think
I
about
would
it.
consider that. I mean, if you had asked for Robert, he would have been on the bus. You know, he would have been already there.
Robert's already a brown belt.
Robert talks too much trash to me, man.
No,
Eric, he's respectful of me.
Robert don't like you, but he likes me. So.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
I don't want any of either of you guys.
All
But,
right. At this point, is there anything that any place that anyone could follow you if they are, for whatever reason, still listening to the podcast at this point? Anything that any place they could follow you on? I know you guys don't have any social media. You guys they can just catch you on the next episode that you're on the ISAJJ Jiu-Jitsu show on.
Watson_martial_arts.
Oh my
That's
gosh, that's the
on Instagram.
worst.
It's lame. And I'm not even like on Instagram that much though. Anyway, but I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Kyle Watson, website WatsonBJJ.com.
Dude, that
Go on.
Can
that
find you.
necklace is gangster.
You can
man.
follow me at Revive BJJ Instagram, and also me and Kyle has a website called Men Are Us. Just about being manly and strong.
It's like OnlyFans,
But for men, we have pictures of us playing peteca and girls throwing frozen grapes to us.
Oh my god.
That's how we do it. Those girls' names are Jessica and Laura. Just to let you guys know.
That's right.
And
Don't
we
get
are
it-
pretty.
Don't get it twisted.
Don't get it. Yeah, Josh gonna show up there with a bunch of grapes. Like, no, Josh, you can't
just
join
our
them.
wives, just our wives.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, Bryce, if you could get on the internet and put in an order for a tombstone that says "I suck at jiu-jitsu show episode," whatever this one's gonna be.
Men's Are Us.
Because I think this is the one. I've always joked that there would be an episode that gets us canceled, and I just wanted you guys to know that I appreciate you very much for being on the show and being part of this, the last episode of the ISAJJ Jiu-Jitsu show. And that is the episode. Thank you guys for checking this one out. I hope I am not canceled. We made sure on most of the people that we insulted, we also gave shout outs to at some point or another. But
Again, I apologize to anyone who trains with us because I know you are talked about in a derogatory way at some point or another. I apologize for who Kyle and Junior are as people, but that's what I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you guys liked this, again, please let me know. I'm so curious as to if people's preference is going to be, no, Josh, we want you doing interviews where you have a list of questions, and that is what we want for the ISAJJ Jiu-Jitsu show interviews, or doing things a little more like this sometimes where it is just conversational and we have way less of a game plan and we just talk jiu-jitsu, we talk life, we talk everything. So if that interests you, send me an email, josh@simplifyingjiujitsu.com, or of course you can reply to my Tuesday morning email that I probably sent you about this new episode coming out. And if you didn't get an email, it's because you're not part of the Gi Gazette. If you're not part of the Gi Gazette, it's because you have not signed up for your free copy of the 3 Lenses ebook, only available at simplifyingjujitsu.com/3. That is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope that I am not canceled currently. And most importantly, I hope that today, wait. Before that, I hope that you guys learn the upside down cow nipple or invent it or whatever. And once you do, you tag me and Kyle and Junior on Instagram so we know about it. And then most importantly, I hope that today's episode helps you guys suck just a little bit less at jiu-jitsu. Have a great day, guys.